Chapter 3960. The spatial divine ability had saved his life. A cold murderous intent suddenly appeared and slashed at him. He was almost hit. It was too mysterious. Now that he no longer had the great sage pagoda, he dared to fight against countless saints with his defense. But the sword just now was too cold. He had no doubt that even a minor saint would be killed instantly. But fortunately he dodged it. The next moment he entered the reigning sword's pagoda. Damn it, he went in. Those people in the distance screamed crazily when they saw this scene. Finally someone went in. They also wanted to enter the reigning sword's pagoda, but they were blocked. The terrifying sword chi cut them apart. Those sword chi made everyone's hair stand on end. Some people wanted to force their way up, charging in with their sacred artifacts. However, a beam of sword light cleaved them apart. Not only that, the sacred artifact was also cut in half. Not good, it's too strong. These people's scalps went numb. This sword chi was not something they could resist. Even a minor saint would not be able to resist it. Damn it, how did that kid get in? Forget it, we can't go in. Let's just wait here and capture his companions. When the time comes, we'll make him hesitate. These people rushed back again, and began to attack Morong Qingqing crazily. Morong Qingqing stopped fighting, and directly entered the Great Sage Pagoda. She couldn't activate the Great Sage Pagoda, but it was enough to defend. Those attacks hit the Great Sage Pagoda and shook it. However, the Great Sage Pagoda remained motionless. The surrounding experts were so angry that they were about to vomit blood. On the other side, after Lin Xian entered the reigning sword's pagoda, he stared ahead and couldn't take his eyes off it. In front of him was a sword stele that was 2 meters tall. It was engraved with sword Dao marks. Lin Xian could feel that the aura of the law of sword on it was too strong. With it, he could definitely comprehend the law of sword. Lin Xian sat down cross-legged. He began to comprehend. However, 3 days later, he opened his eyes. This sword stele was indeed a good item. However, wanting to comprehend the sword laws would probably not be easy. Lin Xian possessed the great dragon sword soul. His attack power was extremely strong, and his swordsmanship was outstanding. Logically speaking, it shouldn't be a problem for him to comprehend the great dragon sword soul. But it was the opposite. It was precisely because he possessed the great dragon sword soul that his sword skills and attacks were extremely powerful. Thus, it was 100 times more difficult for him to condense laws compared to ordinary swordsmen. Even though he had 7 heavenly Dao golden lotuses, it would still take him a lot of time to comprehend them. Under normal circumstances, Lin Xian wouldn't care at all. But now he couldn't. Morong Qingqing was still outside. Although he had the Great Sage Pagoda, there was no guarantee that an accident would happen. He had to leave as soon as possible. In his anxiety, he suddenly discovered that a bronze door had appeared in front of him. Lin Xian suddenly stood up. He was shocked. How could this be? Bewildered, he walked in and found that, as expected, he had entered. The bronze emissary looked at him with flickering eyes. "You're here." Lin Xian was astonished. "Senior, was there a bronze door here as well?" He was too shocked. The bronze emissary said that when you had more than 5 heavenly Dao golden lotuses, a bronze door could appear anywhere, as long as you wanted to. Lin Xian was shocked. It seemed that the more heavenly Dao golden lotuses there were, the better. He had 7 now, which was already more than the previous people. But he knew that this wasn't the final result. For example, if he went into exchange, it was hard to say how many would be left in the end. "Young man, what do you want to exchange for?" the bronze emissary asked. Lin Xian thought for a moment, then said, "I don't want any of the treasures listed above. I only want a cultivation room that can allow me to comprehend the laws. But I don't have enough time. I want more time." "Okay." The bronze emissary nodded. Lin Xian was stunned. Originally, he just wanted to say what he wanted. He didn't expect it to be possible. The bronze emissary said that 1 heavenly Dao golden lotus could be exchanged for 1 year. 1 year. Lin Xian could exchange for 7, but 7 years later, Morong Qingqing would have been teleported out. He couldn't wait. The bronze emissary seemed to see Lin Xian's hesitation. He said, 1 year in the space is only 1 day in the outside world. 7 years is equivalent to 7 days in the outside world. Can you exchange for it? What? There was such a good thing? Lin Xian was stunned. What was standing behind the bronze door? It could even reverse time. One had to know that among all the laws, space was king, but time was supreme. Time was even more mysterious than space. Time was a mystery to everyone, and it was irreversible. Therefore, this kind of time reversal rate was inconceivable to people. What kind of method was needed to achieve this? Probably even the Sage King and the Great Sage couldn't do it. He really didn't know what kind of existence stood behind the Star of Destiny. He didn't need to care about this. He hurriedly said, "Okay, I'll exchange for 7 years." The 7 heavenly Tao golden lotuses disappeared. Lin Xian felt that he had left the bronze door and returned to the sword steel. His surroundings became hazy, as if there was a mysterious power. It should be enough. Lin Xian took a deep breath and sat down cross-legged, wholeheartedly comprehending the sword Tao. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. In the blink of an eye, 5 years had passed. And outside, 5 days had passed. In these 5 days, the Great Sage Pagoda had withstood countless attacks, but it was still unscathed. This shocked everyone. At the same time, their eyes turned red. Treasure, this was definitely a treasure for self-improvement. Such a defense was simply invincible. Damn it, they had to get it. Previously, they only wanted to capture the people in the spirit boat to threaten Lin Wudi. Now their thoughts were different. No matter whether the people inside died or not, they had to get this pagoda. This was even more precious than comprehending the sword Tao. The 5 swords of Heavenly Mountain directly unleashed a world of frost. Endless ice sword chi directly froze the space where the Great Sage Pagoda was. The other experts were also trying, but they still couldn't do anything. However, they had plenty of patience. In the Great Sage Pagoda, Murong Qingcheng was fine. She wasn't injured, and she had already recovered from her previous exhaustion. However, she frowned. The people outside were eyeing her covetously. The situation was very dangerous. Besides, she didn't know how Lin Xian was doing. In the blink of an eye, another day had passed. And on this day, in the sword tower, Lin Xian opened his eyes, and there was an additional sword Tao on his body. Countless sword Tao intertwined, forming small swords with a monstrous aura. It was abnormally terrifying. Given Lin Xian's talent and the previous sword steel, he had finally managed to condense the nomological laws of the sword in 6 years. There was less than a year left, and Lin Xian didn't waste it. He quickly consolidated it. Finally, on the 7th day, Lin Xian felt that the mysterious aura around him disappeared. He stood up. He knew that the passage of time no longer existed. Now he had returned to the normal world. He looked at the sword steel in front of him and bowed respectfully 3 times. Without this sword steel, he was afraid that he would have to spend 60 years to comprehend the sword Tao. Now, after 6 years of comprehension, the speed of improvement was too fast. Buzz. Lin Xian walked out. Chapter 3961. Outside, the 7 swords of Heavenly Mountain, Purple Void Temple, Golden Ant, and the others all looked gloomy. It had been 7 days and it had not been announced yet. The defense of the pagoda was too strong. Even if it had been 7 months, they would have had to wait. The 7 swords of Heavenly Mountain snorted. The Golden Ant's eyes were also red. This was even more terrifying than their golden cauldron. They had to get it. Suddenly, someone turned around and exclaimed. There seemed to be a fluctuation from the sword rain tower. Someone had come out. What? Did that kid come out? In 7 days, could it be that he had obtained a treasure? No matter what he got, they would kill him and snatch the fortune and the pagoda. These people revealed a ferocious expression. Lin Xian rushed out from the Raining Sword's pavilion's side. He used the Void Walk again to avoid the Surekill sword and came out. As soon as he came out, he felt a terrifying chill. It was snowing heavily in front of him, and ice covered thousands of miles. The hall was also frozen. Although he knew that the Great Sage Pagoda's defense was strong, and Murong Qingqing should be fine. However, this scene still infuriated him. Previously, he was blocked by the crowd in the Yin-Yang Hall. If he did not have the Void Beast skin, he might have died. And these people still dared to attack him. They were really courting death. He strode forward in large strides. Kid, you're out. Hurry up and kneel down. Give us the fortune. and we'll give you a quick death. Otherwise, you and your companions will die without a doubt. The two people from the Purple Void Temple rushed forward. They revealed a ferocious expression. Flames surged from their bodies. Buzz. Lin Xian raised his hand and condensed the Great Sun Sword. He slashed forward. With a pft, the two people's heads were chopped off. Blood splattered everywhere. The headless corpses screamed and retreated. Damn it! They were terrified. The sword just now made their hearts jump. They did not have time to defend themselves and were seriously injured. The other people behind were also terrified. The other party attacked directly, and they felt that he was stronger than before. The Law of Sword. The 7 swords of Heavenly Mountain screamed. It was the Law of Sword. Did he condense the Law of Sword? Many people looked over. In the next moment, their pupils constricted. Damn kid, it's you. This time, Lin Xian did not hide. He revealed his true face. Therefore, the 5 swords of Heavenly Mountain screamed when they saw him. The Golden Ant and the Purple Void Temple were confused. They asked, "You know this kid?" The people of the Purple Void Temple gnashed their teeth. Whether you know him or not, today he would die. Lin Wudi, why are you here? Weren't you besieged by people? How did you leave the Yin Yang Hall? The 5 swords of swords screamed. He really couldn't figure out how the other party came out. The Purple Hollow Palace Golden Ant was also stunned. What? Lin. These people were dumbfounded. The God Mountain Demon This was the legendary Great Demon King. Although they had never seen him before, they had heard of his name countless times. Unexpectedly, the young man in front of him was the one who was chasing after Lin Wudi. They were scared to death. Impossible. Wasn't Lin Wudi blocked in the Yin Yang Hall by the army of sages? How did he come here? But they knew that the 5 swords of Heavenly Mountain would not be wrong. Although I don't know how you came out, you killed 2 of my junior brothers. Today I'll tear you into pieces. The 5 swords of Heavenly Mountain gnashed their teeth. 2 of the original 7 swords of Heavenly Mountain had died. Now their array was not as powerful as before. Today I'll send all 5 of you to hell. I'll let you reunite in the netherworld. Lin Xian said coldly. Kid, don't be so arrogant. Our strength has changed these days. The leader of Heavenly Mountain gnashed his teeth and roared. Indeed, they came back immediately after they were defeated that day. These days, they obtained a lot of treasures and improved their swordsmanship. This time, there were the Golden Ant and the Purple Void Temple. They did not believe that they could not suppress Lin. Everyone, let's attack together. Don't give this kid a chance. The people of the Purple Void Temple nodded. The cultivators of the Golden Ant clan also looked solemn. In the next moment, they made their move. Flames and terrifying power covered the sky and earth as they charged towards Lin Xian. In an instant, the void where Lin Xian was completely shattered. That scene was too terrifying. Kill. Lin Xian's body swayed, and the unparalleled sword appeared in his hand. The terrifying sword law rushed into the sky. One sword split everything. The 2 saints vomited blood and flew backward. Their arms were cut off. Damn it, how could he be so strong? The sword law that he had just condensed was much more powerful. Don't be afraid. Well, use ice to restrain him. The 5 swords of Heavenly Mountain stood in 5 directions, and used the Heavenly Mountain sword technique to freeze everything. The terrifying sword chi filled the air, and enveloped the space where Lin Xian was. Frost formed on Lin Xian's body and around him. His speed slowed down. Great, I'll slow him down by 10,000 times. No matter how strong he is, he can't dodge our attack. Hurry up and attack. The boss of Heavenly Mountain shouted angrily. The others were overjoyed. Lin Xian moved like a snail in this world of ice. They attacked crazily. Lin Xian snorted coldly. The sun law spread out from his body. The 9 suns divine fire jumped and turned into one sun sword after another. It swept in all directions. Soon it blocked the ice sword technique. His speed became faster again. In an instant, he dodged the attacks that filled the sky. Kill. Lin Xian was extremely powerful. At this moment, the 5 elements sword, the sun sword and the sword of death. The sword of yin and yang. All kinds of laws turned into sword chi, crisscrossing around him. The sun sword completely blocked all the Heavenly Mountain sword techniques and gradually suppressed them. It was as if 9 flaming swords were swaying between heaven and earth, crushing everything. The 5 elements sword techniques kept attacking. The experts of the Golden Ant clan trembled. The sword of death swept towards the saints of the Purple Void Palace. The pitch-black sword chi could take away all life. Damn it! The people of the Purple Void Temple screamed. Before the black sword of death arrived, they felt that their lives were about to be taken away. They could only defend quickly. The monstrous flames swept through everything. They wanted to suppress it with their laws. But how was that possible? The strength of Lin Xian's laws was unparalleled. He split the flames and took away the lives of these people. Soon 3 experts of the Purple Void Temple fell. The remaining 2 wanted to escape. But the 5 elements sword technique caught up. The power of the 5 elements erupted. The various sword lights of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth sometimes scattered and sometimes merged. The 2 could not escape at all. Chapter 3962. It was too fast, so fast that they didn't even have time to take out their gourds before they died. The purple gourd spewed out monstrous flames, tore apart the sword light, and escaped by itself. Such sacred artifacts all had spirituality, and could escape back to their sections. On the other side, the Golden Ant saw this scene, and immediately took out the Golden Cauldron to defend. The pupils of the 7 swords of Heavenly Mountain also constricted. How did Lin Wudi become so much stronger than before? Just as they were thinking, the Great Sun Sword rushed over. There were 9 swords that turned into 81 sword lights that crisscrossed between heaven and earth, causing their sword formation to tremble continuously. Not only that, the sword of death also flew over and turned into a Taiji sword. The power of yin and yang circulated between heaven and earth. This sword strike was extremely fast. Buzz! A crack appeared between the brows of the 4th elder of Heavenly Mountain. Before his soul could escape, it was destroyed. His body also turned into ashes. A sword strike killed a top-tier sword saint. This made everyone's hair stand on end. Kill. Another one died. The remaining 4 of the 7 swords of Heavenly Mountain roared crazily. They had to take revenge. At this moment, they burned their laws with an incomparable aura. The eldest of Heavenly Mountain even swallowed a bottle of pills. That was a kind of secret pill. In an instant, his strength and aura increased to an unbelievable level. Die. He attacked crazily. His strength was much stronger than before. Lin Xian's swordsmanship was actually suppressed. The swordsmanship trembled and many of them were sent flying. Some of their lights dimmed. One could imagine how powerful the eldest of Heavenly Mountain was when he was angry. Lin Xian didn't fight the other party head-on at all. This kind of strength that was increased by a secret technique couldn't last for too long. He just wanted to delay the other party for a while. After the other party disappeared with the secret technique, he would kill the other party. Therefore, he ignored it and directly used the Taiji diagram to deal with the other party. As for himself, he charged towards the Golden Ant. The other party was coming. The 4 powerhouses of the Golden Ant clan had extremely solemn expressions. If we join forces, we don't believe that he can withstand our strength. The 4 of them quickly attacked. They rode the Golden Cauldron and rushed over. This attack was simply too powerful. It could shatter anything. Lin Xian snorted coldly. He struck out with the sword of water of the 5 elements sword. The monstrous sword technique transformed into waves that surged in front of him. The water was incomparably soft. As expected, when the attack hit the sea, it set off monstrous waves. He did not hurt Lin Xian. Furthermore, he was sinking deeper and deeper, as if he was about to be swallowed by the endless water swords. Damn it! The golden ants looked gloomy. The waves formed by the water swords created a whirlpool, and their golden cauldrons started to spin as well. This strangling power caused their golden cauldron to become heavier and heavier, and they were almost trapped inside. Spread out. With a roar, a large golden hand reached out and overturned the seawater. Only then were they able to escape. Humph. Lin Xian coldly snorted. The 5 elements law transformed into fire law, burning fiercely, cooperating with the 9 young divine flame to rush out. "I'll cook you today." Monstrous flames enveloped the golden cauldron. The golden cauldron bloomed with light to resist, but gradually, the golden cauldron became incomparably red. It carried a monstrous power, causing white smoke to rise from the inside of the golden cauldron. Damn it! The people inside were burned by the fire, and some of their skin was charred. The smell of barbecued meat wafted out. Damn it, let's fight it out. Was the other party trying to treat them as food? They had also heard that the other party was a foodie demon king. Did he want to eat them? One person controlled the golden cauldron, and the other three rushed out. The Golden Ant clan had boundless strength, so their bloodline was innately able to comprehend the law of force. At this moment, they used all their strength and struck out with several times their strength. It was too terrifying. Lin Xian activated the sword law and used 9 suns open the sky to compete with the other party. His palm seemed to have transformed into a long sword. As he opened and closed, it carried a sharp and indomitable force. Damn it, the other party's physique was too strong. He could actually compete with them. Not only that, Lin Xian also used an unparalleled secret technique. If the other party could increase his strength, so could he. When he activated 5 times his strength, with a bang, he directly shattered the other party's hand, and the upper half of his body turned into a bloody mist. After the first Golden Saint was injured, the second and third were also injured. Especially the third one, his entire body exploded. They retreated frantically. Lin Xian struck out with the law of death again, turning it into a pitch-black lock that swept forward. No matter how strong the other party was, could they stop their vitality from fading away? Sure enough, the bloody mist of the 3 people instantly faded. They screamed in horror. They used all kinds of divine abilities to block and even broke through the void, trying to escape. In Lin Xian's body, the great dragon sword soul roared. Dragon-shaped sword chi slashed out. Together with the sword law, it killed in all directions. Those who escaped into the void and wanted to leave were all shocked out by him. In the end, the 3 golden saints were killed. The other one wanted to escape with the golden cauldron. Lin Xian rushed up with extreme speed. With a slap, he flipped the golden cauldron over, and the person inside was sent flying. He also died. After the Purple Void Temple, all the people of the Golden Clan were killed. The golden cauldron fled through the air. Lin Xian turned his head to look at Tianshan Elder. Tianshan Elder vomited blood. The Taiji diagram above his head was constantly bothering him. The elixir's time was almost up. Damn it, ancestral swords. Previously he was eating elixirs. Now he was using the top martial arts of the 10,000 Swords Pavilion. That was ancestral swords. This was the foundation of the 10,000 Swords Pavilion as the holy city. Countless icy sword chi appeared on Tianshan Elder's body and swept in all directions. At this moment, the Taiji diagram was also sent flying. Let's kill him together. The 2 experts of the great sage city were killed. The surrounding people did not dare to attack. The only ones who dared to attack were the 4 people of the 10,000 Swords Pavilion. After the other 3 heard, they also used ancestral swords. Every one of them carried tens of thousands of sword chi. The 4 of them charged towards Lin Xian. The 4 of them were very strong. Even Lin Xian did not dare to face them head-on. Ancestral swords was simply a peerless treasure of a sword saint. Just looking at it made him extremely jealous. He kept retreating. At the same time, he struck out with the sword of water, quickly forming waves to block them. These sword chi, at the same time, he used stellar transposition, causing these people's ancestral swords to collide with each other, erupting with endless aura. It was useless. The 4 of them spread out and carefully controlled it. Today you will die without a doubt. The 4 of them were like sword gods, quickly attacking. Buzz. The great sage tower trembled, and Morong Qingqing rushed out. Brother Xian, let me help you. She struck out the 7-colored phoenix and swept away 2 sword saints. I'll hold 2 of them back. With Morong Qingqing's bloodline and methods, it shouldn't be a problem to hold 2 of them back. Chapter 3963. He pointed his sword. A yin-yang sword light rushed out with a terrifying aura that could cut through everything. The law of swords surrounded it and jumped, increasing the attack power of this sword. Tianshan Elder and Tianshan Elder 5th rushed over. Their attacks pierced through the void. The battle between Lin Xian and the other 2 was earth-shattering. The sect returning swords was very powerful. Lin Xian activated the secret technique of 5 times and sent Tianshan Elder fifth flying. Tianshan Elder was still able to hold on. This surprised him. Someone could block his power of 5 times. Was this the sect returning swords? A cold light burst out from his eyes. His sword soul roared and went all out. Another sword, 9 suns splitting the sky. Tianshan Elder was finally sent flying. Countless cracks appeared on his arm, and the sect returning swords was almost broken. His face was filled with fear. As a sword saint, nothing was more terrifying than the sect returning swords. However, the other party almost broke his sect returning swords just now. What was that dragon roar? Did the other party have anything to do with the Dragon Ball? Next, the dragon roar shook the sky. Streaks of dragon heart sword chi resisted the sect returning swords. Finally, Tianshan Elder's sect returning swords was broken. The sword split Tianshan Elder into 2 halves. All kinds of laws were used, and Tianshan Elder was blown up. Tianshan Elder fifth screamed in fear. Suddenly his head flew into the air. The yin-yang sword shattered his head. His soul escaped, but it was turned into chains by the yin-yang sword chi and locked in the air. The heavenly secret divine eyes released 2 soul swords and destroyed it. Tianshan Elder fifth was dead. Tianshan Elder had just recovered when he was pierced by a sword, and was seriously injured again. He was chased all over the world by Lin Xian. Impossible, elder brother. Tianshan Elder second and Elder third's eyes instantly turned red. They worked together to use the sect returning swords to blast the 7-colored phoenix away, and wanted to escape. Morong Qingcheng, however, yelled, "You want to run?" 9 slashes of the azure wood. She waved her hand and slashed 9 times in a row. These 9 attacks were too powerful. Even though Tianshan Elder second and Elder third had used the sect returning swords, they were still scared out of their wits. After 9 attacks, the 3rd elder of Tianshan Mountain was completely destroyed. Heavenly Mountain's second brother also lost an arm. His entire body was covered in blood as he frantically fled. How could this woman be so terrifying? Not only did the other party possess the bloodline of the phoenix, but he could also tell that this person was from the Kunlun Pavilion. The Greenwood 9 slashes was one of the Kunlun Pavilion's ultimate techniques. Morong Qingqing and Lin Xian teamed up to hunt them down, while Tianshan eldest and second eldest fled all over the world. The surrounding people were all terrified. This news quickly spread out. When the people outside heard about it, they were stunned. How could this be possible? Lin Wudi had actually gone to the Palace of All Life and even started a massacre? Impossible. We've been guarding this place the whole time. How could he possibly escape? These people had all gone crazy. The 23 sword saints of the 10,000 Swords Pavilion couldn't believe it. Leijin couldn't believe it either. Would anyone be able to escape from under their noses? However, the great demons of the Demon City had ugly expressions on their faces. Damn it, he really did get it. Hurry up and chase him to the Palace of All Life. These people rushed over in a frenzy. The others were baffled. At this moment, Leijin received a secret report. It was said that 9 Qilins had brought the Void Beast to assassinate him. Could it be that the Void Beast was injured, and that kid got the Void Beast's skin? If it was the Void Beast's skin, he could indeed use the space to escape. Hurry up and go to the Palace of All Life. He also rushed over with the people of the Thunder God City. The 23 sword saints of the 10,000 Swords Pavilion also set off together. Because according to the news, only 2 of the 7 swords of Tianshan Mountain were left. Moreover, they could die at any time. Hurry up and go to the Palace of All Life. These people rushed out in a frenzy. The Palace of All Life had long been in chaos. The people inside saw 4 figures. The one in front was escaping, and the one in the back was chasing after him. They knew that it was Lin Wudi who was chasing after Tianshan eldest and second eldest. The remaining 2 of the 7 swords of Tianshan Mountain were in an extremely sorry state. In the Palace of All Life, the dark red divine dragon, the toad, and the others had also received the news. They also hurriedly took action. Once the news spread, there would definitely be countless experts coming to hunt them down. They followed the tracks all the way. Countless experts had come to the Palace of All Life. Quickly find Lin Wudi, kill him, capture him, and obtain the good fortune on him. A huge storm was brewing here. In the end, the second eldest was still killed. Tianshan eldest was seriously injured, but he was the strongest of the 7 swords of Tianshan Mountain, so he was able to hold on until now. The sword light on his body bloomed. He had been using the 10,000 swords returned to origin, and he didn't dare to stop at all, because once he didn't have the 10,000 swords returned to origin, the Tianshan sword technique wouldn't be able to defeat his opponent at all. Not to mention, there was still the terrifying existence of the Kunlun Pavilion beside him. He had to wait for their main force to arrive. That would be great. Lin Wudi, you're courting death. Just as Tianshan eldest was about to be exhausted and couldn't hold on any longer, a terrifying voice finally sounded between heaven and earth. Then, 23 sword lights broke through the 9 heavens and descended from the sky. They completely enveloped the surroundings. O heavens, sword saints, 23 sword saints. These were the experts of the 10,000 swords pavilion. It's over, Lin Wudi can't escape this calamity. Tianshan eldest was overjoyed. Kid, it'll definitely make you wish you were dead. Their people had finally arrived. 23 sword saints were enough to sweep through everything. So what if the other 2 were strong? However, he was still careless. The arrival of his teammates made him let down his guard. And Lin Xian seized this opportunity. The sword maxim, the yin-yang maxim, and the 5 elements maxim erupted together. The Tianshan eldest was directly sent flying. His soul was sent flying, and the yin-yang maxim directly obliterated it. No. Tianshan eldest was terrified. His fellow disciples were right in front of him, and he would be saved in the next second. However, the other party attacked mercilessly. How dare you? The 23 sword saints were completely enraged. Did the other party still dare to attack in front of them? He was courting death. The 23 of them attacked with all their might, and terrifying sword maxim erupted. The sword maxim of the 23 of them were different. Some were violent, some were cold, some had a strange flame aura, and some had endless coldness. In short, it was abnormally terrifying. Lin Xian still didn't dodge. He used the last of his strength to destroy Tianshan eldest's soul. Then, he took Morong Qingqing and instantly hid in the Great Sage Pagoda. The 23 sword chi slashed on the Great Sage Pagoda, sending the Great Sage Pagoda flying. The void shattered, and all the living beings within 1,000,000 miles prostrated themselves. At this moment, everyone saw it. What a terrifying sword chi. It was the 23 sword saints of the 10,000 swords pavilion. They should have found Lin Wudi. Let's go. These people all rushed over. Inside the Great Sage Pagoda, Lin Xian and Morong Qingqing's chi and blood were surging, but it wasn't serious. Not to mention 23 sword saints. Even 230 sword saints wouldn't be able to break the Great Sage Pagoda. Chapter 3964. Sure enough, their chi and blood only surged, and they quickly suppressed it. The Great Sage Pagoda floated in the air. This Great Sage artifact, Lin Xian's defense was already amazing. Damn it, the 23 sword saints launched a shocking attack, and then caught the corpse of Tianshan Mountain's leader. However, there was no aura left. Blood mist filled the sky. His soul was destroyed, and he couldn't be resurrected at all. Damn it. The 23 sword saints roared at the sky, and their eyes instantly turned red. Kill. Kill Lin Wudi and take revenge. They rushed over, but in the next moment, their faces turned ugly. Did the other party not die? The pagoda rotated between heaven and earth, but it didn't shatter. This was unbelievable. With the 23 of them attacking, even the minor saints would be able to take the lead, right? But the other party was hiding in the pagoda, and it seemed that he didn't suffer much injury. Damn it, the 23 sword saints attacked again. The void where the great sage was kept shattering. It spread for tens of thousands of miles, hundreds of thousands of miles, and even millions of miles. As for the surrounding people, they all chased after him. What happened? They were frightened and didn't dare to approach. Lei Zhen's face was ferocious, and the 9 Qilins also came with a cold expression. The sages all looked as if they were facing a great enemy. Lin Wudi had probably been killed to the point that his heart and soul had been destroyed. Damn it, these lunatics from the Myriad Sword Pavilion don't know how to show mercy. Lin Wudi had a lot of good fortune on him. They weren't worried about Lin Xian's life or death, but that the treasure would be destroyed. Not good, that kid will definitely die. The corner of the toad's mouth twitched. The dark red dragon and the North Demon's face turned cold. Li Hongxia's expression was solemn. Could such a violent attack be blocked? The sword chi disappeared, and the black hole dissipated. A pagoda floated between heaven and earth, and it had received a lot of impact. However, there wasn't even a crack on it. The light it emitted was too mysterious. Nothing happened at all. What kind of saint artifact was this? Could it be that it surpassed the moon grade? Was this a sun-grade saint artifact? These people were crazy. The other party actually had such a saint artifact in his hand. The faces of the 23 sword saints turned cold. Leijin, the 9 Qilins, and the sages around them all had ugly looks on their faces. How could they fight like this? Capture their companions. Those people must be coming. At this moment, Leijin roared. The others also came back to their senses. Yes, let's move. They looked at the dark red divine dragon, the northern demon, and the others, and attacked madly. Even Li Hongxiu was affected. Do you want to die? Li Hongxiu shouted angrily. She was the daughter of the Saint King. Yet there was still someone who dared to attack her. The people who had attacked were shrouded in their auras. They could only sense the nomological laws, but they were unable to sense the specific abilities they used. These people had concealed their methods, and were using some secret techniques to attack. They wanted to take advantage of the chaos to kill her. Damn it, Li Hongxia's face was cold. There must be some people who were afraid that her rise would threaten those on the pilgrim rankings. Li Hongxia's sleeves kept waving. The toad, the dark red dragon, and the others also counterattacked. All kinds of great chaos interweaved. Soon they escaped. There was no other way. There were too many people. As the toad ran, it roared. Damn it, how dare you treat me like this? I will not let you off. As soon as it finished speaking, it was attacked by tens of thousands of thunder bolts, which charred its body. Capture them and make Lin Wuti surrender. These people's eyes were red. This was the only way. At this moment, the great sage pagoda also moved. Lin Xian naturally wouldn't allow his friends to be threatened. He rode the great sage pagoda and rushed over. With the power of the great sage pagoda, Lin Xian couldn't activate it at all. One attack would probably be able to deplete all of his energy. After all, this was a weapon that only the great sage could use. However, he only needed to fly, so there was no problem at all. He didn't need to use the power of the great sage pagoda. He could just charge forward and send out countless sword chi, which could send many saints flying. As expected, he forcefully opened up a path of blood. He led the Jiangbei monsters and the dark red divine dragon away. Then he brought Li Hongxiu in. In the end, only the toad was left. Damn it, kid, you can't burn the bridge after crossing the river. I've treated you well. The toad was being chased by countless people and screamed crazily. In the end, Lin Xian also made a move and brought the toad into the Great Sage Pagoda. Everyone surrounded the Great Sage Pagoda. The Great Sage Pagoda was sent flying countless times and kept rolling. Lin Xian and the others inside were also boiling. Li Hongxiu was surprised. What level was this? Was this the weapon of the Sage King? Wasn't it too terrifying? She had only seen her father with such a weapon. She had never seen anyone else with such a weapon. Lin Xian didn't say the specific level. Instead, he said that with this thing, they wouldn't be able to break in. The toad kept roaring. Damn it, how dare they chase after me? Oh, kill them when I have the chance. The dark red divine dragon, and the others also had cold expressions. Damn it, counterattack. They began to attack with the Great Sage Pagoda in between. These people were very strong. Now that they didn't have any worries, they naturally attacked crazily. All kinds of magical powers and laws surged outside. Lin Xian even conjured all kinds of swords of laws and slashed horizontally and vertically. In an instant, many people were seriously injured. They all retreated crazily and distanced themselves. Damn Lin Wuti, come out if you have the ability. That's right, didn't you claim to be invincible? Why are you a coward? Leave this pagoda if you have the ability. One by one, the sages clamored. Lin Xian was in the Great Sage Pagoda. He sneered when he heard this. How dare you clamor with me? Aren't you just relying on your numbers? Who would dare to fight one-on-one? Not to mention one-on-one. Who would dare to fight 1-on-10? Kid, ignore them. Hundreds of people are chasing after one of us. What kind of heroes are they? Just kill them through the air. Lin Xian wasn't afraid of 1-on-10. But now it wasn't a problem of 10 or 20 people. It was a problem of hundreds or even thousands of people. With so many sages working together, no one could stop them. The toad was roaring. Its mouth could infuriate people to death. Damn, Leijin, aren't you awesome? If you have the ability, come out and fight me one-on-one. I'll slap you to death with one slap. And you, nine-headed Qilin, are you amazing? I'll chop you up and eat braised meat. Is the Myriad Sword Pavilion that awesome? 23 people are chasing after one. If you have the ability, come and fight me one-on-one. Didn't the 7 swords of Heavenly Mountain get killed by us too? The toad's clamoring voice could be heard. The sages outside had ugly expressions. Damn it, they really deserved to die. Indeed, they really didn't dare to fight one-on-one. They didn't even dare to fight 1-on-10. The 7 swords of Heavenly Mountain, the 7 terrifying sword saints, were all killed. The others wouldn't be a match for them either. They could only rely on their numbers now. However, this trick was useless because they couldn't open the pagoda in front of them at all. Lin Wudi, come out and fight me one-on-one if you have the guts. Leijin stood out. Chapter 3965. I lost to you last time, but this time, my strength has increased greatly. I will definitely be able to kill you with my own hands. The thunder on his body was incomparably terrifying. You're so shameless. Now you want to fight one-on-one? Fine, tell them all to get out of the Hall of Life, and we'll agree to fight you one-on-one. The toad mocked. Previously, when you brought people to surround the Yin Yang Hall, did you think of fighting one-on-one? Now that you want to fight one-on-one, aren't you just trying to lure us out? Kid, do it. Lin Xian didn't say anything else. He controlled the Great Sage Tower and rushed over. The Law of Sword erupted and stabbed directly at Leijin. All kinds of sword chi swept out like a storm. Leijin was furious. He was courting death. He struck out thunder that filled the sky to resist. However, he was still forced back. Just the Great Sage Tower alone was enough to send him flying. Damn it, don't you dare to fight? Leijin roared. If you want to fight one-on-one, I'll fulfill your wish. Suddenly, Lin Xian used a method and directly pulled Leijin into the Great Sage Tower. In the next moment, an earth-shattering sound rang out from the Great Sage Tower. The people outside were dumbfounded by what they saw. The people of Thunder God City were even more crazy. Not long after, Leijin was thrown out. His body was broken and bleeding, and his face was swollen like a pig's head. He roared crazily there. Damn it, I'm going to kill you. I must kill you. Young master, are you alright? The people of Thunder God City also rushed over. They could see that Leijin was injured and tortured. However, his life was not in danger. This made them heave a sigh of relief. But soon, their faces darkened. Was this a slap in the face? A crazy slap in the face. Nine-headed Qilin, aren't you very powerful? Then come over too. Lin Xian controlled the Great Sage Tower and rushed towards Nine-headed Qilin. Nine-headed Qilin was scared out of his wits. Leijin almost died when he went in. If he went in, wouldn't he be killed by the other party? He only had 7 lives left. He didn't dare to waste them. He fled frantically, but the 2 great demons beside him did not escape and were pulled in. After a series of crazy explosions, the Great Sage Pagoda suddenly calmed down. What was going on? Why wasn't anyone thrown out? Could he have been killed? After a while, the smell of barbecued meat wafted from the Great Sage Tower. Everyone vomited blood. Fuck, these 2 greater demons must have thought of them as food and stewed them. Damn it. Nine-headed Qilin and the others were so angry that they were about to spit out blood. However, they did not dare to step forward anymore. It was like an invincible tortoise shell. They couldn't get in, but the other party could pull them in. If he went in alone and faced Lin Xian and his terrifying friends, even if he didn't die, he would lose a layer of skin. Leijin was also scared. Luckily, he was human. If he was a demonic beast, he would have been stewed. This action shocked everyone. They didn't expect it to work this way. Is the 10,000 Swords Pavilion very powerful? Lin Xian controlled the Great Sage Pagoda and rushed towards the 23 Sword Saints. Damn it! The 23 Sword Saints retreated frantically. They didn't dare to fight against the other party. The Great Sage Pagoda was very fast. It broke through the void and cut off everything. Gather together. The 23 people wanted to gather together, but in an instant, a white monkey appeared and knocked a few of them unconscious and completely pulled them in. The next moment, the sound of the earth shaking could be heard. Not long after, 5 Sword Saints were thrown out. There were only heads and no corpses. 5 heads drifted in the wind. It was extremely miserable. Dead. Such powerful martial venerables and sword saints were killed in a short time. It was too unbelievable. This Lin Wudi was too terrifying. Not only that. Not only Lin Wudi was there, but also Li Hongxiu and the Saintess of the Kunlun Pavilion. His companions were also very powerful. How could those 5 sword saints be a match for them? Run away. These people fled frantically. Some of them who were slow to escape were dragged in and died. Originally, everyone had gathered to form a terrifying army to kill Lin Xian. Who would have thought that in the end, they would be chased like stray dogs? Haha, Leijin, come and fight me one-on-one. I'll slap you to death. There were also the 9 Qilins who quickly came over to die. The toad was shouting inside. Their main targets were these top elites. On Leijin's back, a pair of thunder wings were constantly flapping. The 9 Qilins wished they could grow 2 more legs. They were too aggrieved. They had cultivated for so long and their cultivation had increased greatly. They wanted to hold their heads high. However, they realized that they were even more aggrieved than before. In the end, these people all fled the Palace of All Life. They didn't dare to stay any longer. Next, Lin Xian and the others began to travel around the Palace of All Life to collect all kinds of resources. Their cultivations were also rapidly increasing. Lin Xian could feel that he was not far from making a breakthrough in his cultivation. Soon he would be able to enter the ranks of the 5th firmament. Boom boom boom. On this day, a loud sound suddenly came from the depths of the Roland's palace. Following that, an extremely terrifying aura spread out. As a result, everyone in the 5 palaces was terrified. What happened? Let's go and take a look. These people rushed out and rushed towards the depths of the Roland's palace. Lin Xian and the others naturally felt it too. They were puzzled. The dark red dragon was drooling. Could it be that another treasure had appeared in the Roland's palace? As for the toad, its expression changed. Damn, could it be that someone had touched it? No, I have to go and take a look. It turned into a stream of light and flew quickly. Let's go too. Lin Xian called out. Everyone followed the toad out of the Palace of All Life and into the depths of the Roland's palace. The others also came out. Along the way, they encountered Lin Xian and the others and retreated. Now, not many people dared to provoke Lin Xian and the others. In front, Leijin, the 9 Qilins, Gao Yu by Luo, and the others were all there. Even the great desolate mansion Ziyu was there. When some people saw Lin Xian and the others, they all turned their heads. Their eyes were filled with murderous intent. However, no one made a move because the aura in front was too abnormal. It was as if an ancient overlord had come back to life. Not only that, there were golden runes shining between heaven and earth. Golden light filled the sky and scattered over. As a result, everyone could only stop here. They could not take a step forward. Some people could not help but want to try, but their bodies shattered and they screamed. The others were also stunned. What was going on? The toad stood at the front. Its eyes were wide open, as if it wanted to see through everything. Lin Xian also activated the Heavenly Secrets Child Prodigy. He passed through layers of space and saw a shocking scene. In front, there was a figure in black robes with his back facing him. That was Black Mountain. Lin Xian was shocked. This commotion was caused by Black Mountain. It was too unbelievable. Was Black Mountain fighting for the treasure? One had to know that Black Mountain was the great sage when he was alive. Although he had fallen and was only a remnant soul, his strength might not be as strong as theirs. However, his methods and foresight far surpassed theirs. Chapter 3966. He looked carefully and found that there was a golden platform in front of He Shan, and there was a figure lying on the golden platform. It was a woman wearing an ancient Taoist robe. Her eyes were closed and she seemed to be asleep. The woman was extremely beautiful. What was even more surprising was that her lower body was actually that of a snake. Was this a demonic beast? Lin Xian was surprised. Could it be an ancient corpse? At this moment he saw Heishan move. Heishan took a few more steps forward. Suddenly, the golden platform shone brightly and burst out with an unparalleled light, tearing apart the space in the sky. In the next moment, everyone felt a terrifying storm that wanted to tear them apart. At the same time, they all screamed. That was because the light pierced through the space, allowing them to see the scene in front of them. Heavens, there was someone in front of them. How was that possible? Who was that person? They also saw a man in a black robe, but they did not recognize him. Look, there was something in front of him. Everyone saw that there was a golden platform in front of them, and there was a mysterious woman on it. She had a human body and a snake tail. Could it be an ancient demonic beast? Everyone was shocked. The toad screamed crazily and crawled on the ground. Her Majesty. Lin Xian was shocked. Could it be that the toad knew? He asked twice and found that the toad's eyes were red, and it could not hear any sound at all. It was really strange. It seemed that he would have to wait until the toad calmed down before asking. Lin Xian stared ahead. He did not know what Heishan was trying to do. Heishan stood in front. He was still quite a distance away from the golden platform. Moreover, he found that the space in front of him seemed very close, but it was like a natural chasm. It was impossible to cross it. So close yet worlds apart? Heishan's eyes flickered. However, it seemed that he did not give up. His gaze was fixed on the sleeping woman in front of him. To be precise, the thing in the woman's hand. It was a ruby. It was made of some unknown gem, and it was abnormally mysterious. Heishan used a few secret techniques to pass through so close, yet worlds apart. However, it triggered a change. The ruby suddenly shone, and the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. Heishan was sent flying. At the same time, the entire golden palace shook violently. Not good, retreat quickly. Lei Zhen, the 9 Qilins, and the others narrowed their eyes and retreated in an instant. Lin Xian and the others also felt a sense of crisis. Coming quickly. He took out the Great Sage Pagoda again, and let Morong Qingqing and the others in. When he left, he found that the toad was still lying there. He reached out a large hand and grabbed the toad, bringing him into the Great Sage Pagoda. Then he shattered the void and left this place. Your Majesty, I want to follow you. The toad was growling. He said, Why did you pull me back? The dark red divine dragon said with disdain. Brother, aren't you too spineless? Isn't it just a woman? Don't tell me you're going to die for her just because you took a look. In a while, this brother will bring you to find many beautiful demonic beasts and let you have your fill. What the hell do you know? That's my queen. She's not someone other people can compare to. The toad's eyes turned red. Lin Xian pulled the dark red divine dragon to the side and told him not to provoke the toad anymore. Then he asked, Do you know that sleeping woman? Tell me. What is her identity? Why are you here? Kid, don't try to trick me. You shouldn't know these things. If you know, you'll be in big trouble. Lin Xian was shocked. The others were even more curious. They asked one after another. However, the toad didn't even want to say a single word. In the end, everyone could only give up. The North Demon's expression was solemn. He was very worried. He didn't know how his master was doing. Just now he saw that Black Mountain was sent flying by the impact. The dark red divine dragon beside him said, Don't worry. How could anything happen to that old monster? He has more tricks up his sleeve than we imagined. Lin Xian also comforted him. Black Mountain should be fine. Although that was the case, they were still curious. Black Mountain might know the secret of the Roland's Golden Palace. They flew all the way and only calmed down when they were far away. The others also had lingering fears. However, the Roland's Golden Palace was shaking more and more violently. The terrifying aura in the distance was still erupting. Oh no, it seemed that they had to leave this place. Everyone was unwilling. There were countless treasures in the Roland's Golden Palace, but now they had to leave. Let's go. Lin Xian led the group away. They had obtained many benefits. If they stayed any longer, their lives would be in danger. They also left the Roland's Golden Palace and went outside. The Roland's Golden Palace shook violently. The door suddenly opened, and a terrifying golden light shot into the sky. The entire celestial fate planet shook violently because of this movement. There seemed to be endless laws in the world. The great Tao intertwined. Oh no, something unimaginable has happened. Everyone's expressions were solemn. In the depths of the celestial fate planet, the eyes of the people on the pilgrim ranking also shone. It seems that it's about time. Let's go. These people brought their followers and subordinates and quickly rushed into the distance. They scattered in all 5 directions. The great Tao in the sky scattered down, completely drowning the space where the 5 of them were. A shocking change occurred. The entire celestial fate planet was divided into 9 regions. The 5 people on the pilgrim ranking each occupied one of the 5 regions. The other 4 regions were empty. No one had entered them yet. This scene was shocking. There was actually an unexpected change. It seemed that it exceeded their imagination. These people were shocked. They had originally thought that there would be at most 6 regions. Perhaps there would only be 5 regions. They hadn't expected there to be 9. The eyes of the 5 geniuses on the pilgrim ranking shone. Their subordinates were delighted. This was great. This way, they would all have a chance. Young master, why don't we give it a try? Their subordinates were excited. The silhouettes nodded. Okay. These people were all their followers. If they could snatch one more area, it would be a great advantage for them. The final path was about to open. Next, it was time to fight for the Destiny Stone. They had to obtain their own Destiny Stone. Their subordinates were overjoyed when they received the order. They quickly rushed toward the 4 uninhabited regions. But soon their expressions changed. They discovered that even though they had crossed over the neighboring regions, the great Tao that was pressing down on them had become heavier. They even turned into chains, binding their bodies. Damn it, they were being suppressed. When the 5 geniuses saw this, their eyes shone with a cold light. Was this the suppression of regions? Chapter 3967. Some of them were unwilling to give up, and wanted to stay here by force. There were also some who wanted to retreat. Under such suppression, could they beat the newcomers? They had no confidence. At this time, Lin Xian and the others naturally felt the rumbling in the depths of planet Tianming. These people did not know what was going on, so they frantically retreated in all directions. At this time, the great path in the sky descended, and everyone was divided into different regions. Lin Xian, Morong Qingcheng, and the others were together because they were in the Great Sage Pagoda. There were many people with them. The most dazzling of them all was Lei Zhen, and a few experts from the Myriad Sword Pavilion. Yu Yu from the Great Desolate Mansion was also here. Of course, the other saints and some experts of the older generation were also here. They looked around, their faces full of surprise. What was going on? Could it be that they were sealed? No, look. Someone looked down from the sky. The entire planet Tianming was divided into 9 regions, and they all led to the deepest part of the planet Tianming's heart. These people rose into the sky and found that it was indeed so. For example, the 9 Qilins were in the region next to them. There were others further away. Among them, there were 5 figures that were as bright as stars in the night sky. Their auras were much stronger than the 9 Qilins, Lei Zhen, and the others. When Li Hongxiu saw them, she exclaimed, "The 5 people on the pilgrimage board. They had indeed appeared." Was it them? Murong Qingqing, Lin Xian, and the others also looked over. They saw that the 5 figures were too terrifying. Their auras had reached the peak of the 5th heavenly layer. They knew that these people were originally small saints, but they were able to enter because they suppressed their cultivation. Even so, they were stronger than ordinary 5th heavenly layer experts. There were probably not many who could match them. There were a total of 7 people on the pilgrimage board. Now 5 of them had appeared, and 2 were not. Or rather, they were already here, but they were hiding. Li Hongxiu began to introduce them to Lin Xian, Murong Qingqing, and the others in detail. She did not know much. She only knew the names of these people, and their sections. I don't know the specifics. Look at that guy over there. He's covered in sword light and looks like a sword god. He's an expert from the 10,000 Swords Pavilion. His name is Wan Jiani. The other one wore black armor and carried a long spear on his back. He was Yu Quan of the Great Desolate Mansion. He was Yu Ye's older brother. Lin Xian was shocked when he heard this. Yu was the head disciple of the Great Desolate Mansion. He never thought that his older brother was actually one of the geniuses on the Holy Pilgrimage list. At this moment, many people cried out in surprise. What a beautiful woman. There were even some people that couldn't help but look toward that area. When Li Hongxiu saw this, she snorted coldly and pointed in that direction. She said, "Do you see that woman? Her name was Qin Xiener, and she was from the Joyous Union Palace." This woman had cultivated this kind of seduction technique. Who knew how many fifth-layer saints had been mercilessly toyed with by her? Speaking of this person, Li Hongxiu snorted heavily. It seemed that she was very dissatisfied with his cultivation method and actions. Lin Xian smiled awkwardly, then asked, "Where are the others?" He looked in several other directions. Li Hongxiu was shocked. She never thought that Lin Xian would be unaffected. One had to know that this Qin Xiener was extremely powerful. She had a special bloodline constitution. Coupled with her cultivation method, some saints couldn't escape at all. As expected, even Lei Zhen and the 9 Qilins had a trace of passion in their eyes. However, Lin Xian didn't have it at all. How could she know that Lin Xian's mind was so firm? No seduction, technique, or illusion could affect him. Li Hongxiu took a deep breath and continued to introduce. The one wearing a Taoist robe and a mask was from the Limitless sect. He was called Chao Tiansheng. Lin Xian looked over and was shocked. This person was very special. Indeed, she sensed a special aura from this person. However, he couldn't describe it with words. Furthermore, the mask that the other party was wearing was also green and had fangs. It was extremely terrifying. The last one was called Emoshio, and he was from the Acheron Hall. Acheron Hall? Hearing this, Lin Xian was surprised. Murong Qingcheng also frowned slightly. Previously, when they were in the Palace of All Life, they were attacked by the Acheron Hall. At that time, someone was hiding in the dark and communicated with countless bone armies, almost killing them. This Emoshio looked ordinary, but the aura on his body was extremely terrifying. Under his feet, there was a yellow river surging. That was the water of the Acheron. There were white bones rolling in it. They were all corpses of saints. Just this scene alone was enough to make one's scalp tingle. Needless to say, the strength of these 5 people was extremely terrifying. What about the other 2? The dark red divine dragon also couldn't wait to ask. Who were those 2 people? Li Hongxiu said, "The 2 people who didn't appear, one is the spatial powerhouse I told you about, Gu Feng. The other person is very strange. I only know that he's called Wuxia. However, I don't know what he looks like. I only know that he's a mysterious assassin, perhaps from the human world." A top assassin in the human world. Lin Xian sucked in a breath of cold air. The dark red divine dragon also said, "Damn, this organization is really haunting us." Gu Feng had spatial abilities, so no one knew when he would appear. As for Wuxia, he was even more terrifying. His concealment technique was very strange. Perhaps he had already arrived. Moreover, he was hiding right beside them. These 2 people were extremely dangerous. After Lin Xian and the others heard this, they had a general understanding in their hearts. Among all the people who entered the Heavenly Fate planet this time, these 7 people were probably the most powerful. However, they still didn't know who was stronger and who was weaker among these people. The pilgrimage leaderboard was still a little far away from them. After all, these were all minor saints. Lin Xian was confident that he could defeat everyone below the pilgrimage leaderboard. Everyone waited patiently. During this time, they also learned that every region led to the depths of the Heavenly Fate Heart. And in the depths of the heart was the legendary Heavenly Fate Stone. Only when one reached there could they see their own heavenly fate. The so-called heavenly fate was actually the scene of one's future. What these people wanted to see was their future path, their limits, and where they could go. Could the future be calculated? Wasn't the future supposed to be mysterious and unpredictable? Lin Xian was astonished. Li Hongxiu said softly, "Indeed, that was the case. The calculation was based on your best condition. In other words, it was your limit. Everyone, no matter how talented or how good the resources were, would always have a limit. In other words, once you reached there, it would be as difficult as ascending to heaven to take another step forward. Perhaps you would never be able to take another step forward in your lifetime. Chapter 3968. What we need to do now is to try our best to see where our limits are. Hearing this, Lin Xian and the others fell silent. Indeed, becoming a great emperor was everyone's goal, but whether they could achieve it was different. And one's own limits were indeed related to one's future path, and the concrete future. That was why these people were so eager to know. They didn't know where their limits were. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. Morong Qingcheng, who was standing on the side, also said, "Could it be that what we see is definitely the future? Can no one break the heavenly fate?" Li Hongxiu said, "Of course. The heavenly fate planet was only tested under normal conditions. For example, a person's future limit was to become a sage king. But if they were killed when they became a sage venerate, then they naturally couldn't become a sage king. That was why they died prematurely. Of course, there was another way to break the heavenly fate, but they had never heard of such a person. Perhaps there were people like that in the ancient and primordial era. Alright, don't be so sad. We're definitely very talented. I'm going to become the Dragon Emperor. I have to see what my heavenly fate is." The dark divine dragon's eyes shone. The others also had lofty ambitions. "Let's go." These people came out of the great sage pagoda and rushed forward. There were 9 regions. According to the rules of the heavenly fate planet, they were in the 9th region, and Chao Tianxing was in the 1st. The other regions were in a clockwise order, forming a circle that divided the entire heavenly fate planet. They quickly flew toward the depths of the heavenly fate planet. On the way, they met many people. Some of them were terrified when they saw Lin Xian. Of course, there were also some people who had cold eyes. They even secretly transmitted their voices. It seemed that they wanted to attack. Lin Xian ignored them. It was fine if they didn't attack, but if they did, he could guarantee that they would know what despair and regret were. Their speed was very fast, and they flew all the way. However, the heavenly fate planet was very big. This time, they were flying toward the depths of the heavenly fate planet. There were powerful demon beasts and terrifying traps. They hadn't entered before. And now that they were, it was very dangerous. Sure enough, there were people who died in front of them. Blood soared into the sky, and it was incomparably miserable. "We have to be careful," Lin Xian reminded. Everyone else also had solemn expressions on their faces. And behind them, a man in black armor had a gloomy expression. Lin Woody's good days had come to an end. "I didn't expect him to be assigned to the same area as me. I want to be the ruler of the 9th district." The one who spoke was precisely Yu Yu. His older brother Yu Quan had occupied a region. Thus, he wanted to occupy a region as well. That was because there was no pilgrimage list in this region. As such, it did not fear anyone. Whether it was Lin Wudi or Lei Zhen, they would all crawl at his feet. In front of them, Lin Xian and the others were moving forward at an extremely fast speed. After a long journey, they finally arrived at the depths of celestial fate. There was a dangerous aura ahead. Everyone felt their blood run cold. Lin Xian frowned as he activated his god's heaven eye and scanned his surroundings. Suddenly, he realized that there was an ancient tree sitting cross-legged in front of him. That dangerous aura was emitted by the ancient tree. This was an extremely terrifying tree demon. It was unknown what realm it had reached. Perhaps it was a small saint. However, it was too obscure and mysterious to be able to tell. Lin Xian also did not know if the cultivation of celestial fate was only suppressed for them, or for everyone. If the native creatures of celestial fate were not suppressed, then it would be dangerous. In short, the tree demon in front of them gave them a fatal sense of threat. Should they kill their way through or enter the great sage pagoda and barge their way through? The dark red dragon asked. Li Hongxiu shook her head. She did not quite agree. She said that they had already arrived at the depths of celestial fate, and there were many ruins left behind by ancient saints. We should properly comprehend them and improve our laws. The North Demon stood up and walked forward. Senior, we have no ill intentions. We just want to pass through here. As he spoke, he opened his sky-piercing divine tree. Behind him, the illusion of a huge divine tree swayed, emitting a mysterious aura. The killing intent of the tree demon in front of them disappeared. His branches swayed and then gave way to a path. "Thank you, Senior." The North Demon and the others bowed. Then they walked forward and left this area. The dark red dragon and the others heaved a sigh of relief. The aura of that tree demon just now was too terrifying. Could it really be a small saint? Everyone continued on their way. Not long after, they stopped in front of a mountain peak. There was a palm print on it. The shadow of the palm was truly incredible. Although it was only a shallow print, there was blood left on it. Moreover, Lin Xian and the others discovered that it was the blood of at least a dozen saints. In other words, this palm print had killed more than a dozen saints, and they were not ordinary saints. The aura left behind by this blood was too terrifying. It was very likely that it was a small saint or a holy venerable. In other words, the one who left this mark was most likely a saint king. They quickly comprehended it. These people surrounded the palm print and quickly comprehended it. They were quite free to comprehend it here. A day later, a cold voice came from behind them. Lin Xian and the others suddenly opened their eyes. Who was it? The toad had also recovered. When it noticed the situation, it immediately roared. "How dare you peek at me? I'll beat you to death. You're just a toad. How dare you be arrogant in front of me?" 13 people walked over from the front. They were all wearing black armor, and their auras were unparalleled. "People from the Great Desolate Mansion?" Li Hongxiu frowned. "What do you want?" Lin Xian's eyes flickered. He did not see you, yes figure. However, these 13 people were also incredible. They were all fifth heaven saints. Moreover, 10 of them were in the middle stage of the fifth heaven, and 3 were in the late stage of the fifth heaven. The killing intent from these 13 people was very terrifying. The leader sneered. "Lin Wudi, I heard that you dared to provoke our Great Desolate Mansion and disrespect the previous generation's Huangzi. I'll give you a chance to live. If you kneel down and submit, you can live. It's the same for you people." He pointed at the North Demon, the Dark Red Dragon, and the Toad. Then he looked at Morong Qingqing and Li Hongxiu. "As for you two beauties, the young master invites you two to enjoy the flowers and drink. You want us to be your slaves?" Lin Xian laughed when he heard this. The Dark Red Dragon also snorted coldly. "Who do you think you are? How dare you show off in front of us?" The Toad jumped up. "Damn, I'll slap you to death. Hurry up and get over here. Be my human pet. I'll torture you properly. Otherwise you're dead." Li Hongxiu also snorted coldly. "Where's Yu? How dare he show off in front of us?" Chapter 3969. The experts from the Great Desolate Mansion looked gloomy. The behavior of this group of people had infuriated them. "Lin Wudi, it seems like water has entered your brain. It's your honor to be able to become our young master's subordinate. Don't forget that our young master isn't just the chief disciple. Our young master's brother is on the pilgrim list. Submitting to our chief disciple is equivalent to submitting to young master Yu Quan. You have to think carefully. It's your honor to be able to become young master Yu Quan's follower." Lin Xian sneered. "You've been kneeling for so long that you can't even stand up. How can you be proud of being a slave? It seems like you don't know what's good for you." "That's right, young master you knew you would behave like this, so he gave us an order. If you dare to resist, we'll beat you half to death and let you know the consequences of offending us. Attack." The killing intent on their bodies grew stronger. All kinds of laws emanated from their bodies, and the terrifying sacred weapons kept rumbling. It seemed like these people were about to attack. "Kill!" The leader of the group roared. 13 saints attacked at the same time. It seemed like they didn't dare to be careless when facing Lin Wudi. These 13 people were too strong. They were even more terrifying than the 7 swords of Heavenly Mountain. They didn't know what was good for them. The Toad sneered, the Dark Red Divine Dragon snorted, and the others had a mocking look on their faces. On the other hand, Lin Xian's eyes were filled with unparalleled killing intent. The sword law emanated from his body, and a clang was heard. The combination of the laws formed the Great Sun Sword on one side, and the Death Demonic Saber on the other. The saber and sword struck out together, and a terrifying aura covered the sky. With a slash of the saber, the two powerful sages instantly withered and turned into white bones. Not good. They retreated frantically, and their faces were filled with horror. The saber had taken away most of their vitality, and they almost died here. As soon as they retreated, the great sun sword slashed down with an unparalleled aura and monstrous flames. Their armors were shattered and their bodies were split in half. Kill! Lin Xian roared, and various sword techniques were unleashed. The power was so terrifying that it made them despair. The 13 sages of the great desolate mansion were terrified. Damn it! They finally understood why those people had such mocking expressions on their faces earlier. This kid's strength had actually become so strong. He was so strong that they felt despair. Lin Xian did not let the others attack. He attacked alone, and all kinds of nomological swords danced between heaven and earth. Not long after, the 13 powerful saints were all killed. All kinds of broken weapons were scattered all over the ground. Lin Xian withdrew his laws and stood with his hands behind his back. His body was spotless. Clean up the battlefield. Let's go. The dark red divine dragon waved its claws and grabbed their storage rings. Then everyone turned around and walked forward. In the rear, Yu stood in front of a rift valley and carefully sensed his surroundings. The canyon was split open by a single slash. The dazzling aura on it was extremely terrifying. It should have been left behind by the Lord. At this moment, Yu's eyes erupted with terrifying radiance. The aura of great desolation spread from his body. All sorts of laws intertwined. Suddenly, the expression of his subordinate beside him changed. In his hand was a spell formation with 13 dots of light on it, which instantly vanished and dimmed. Not good. He screamed in fright. Up ahead, Yu, who was comprehending, was interrupted. He turned around, his ice-cold eyes tearing through the void. That man continuously backed up. Young master, I didn't do it on purpose. It's just that the people we sent out all died. He knew that interrupting the other party was a matter of beheading. However, the situation right now was extremely dangerous. Dead. Yu's eyes erupted with biting cold killing intent. Did you say that all 13 of them were killed? Not a single one of them escaped? He really was surprised. With 13 people attacking together, just how terrifying was that? Could it be that Lin Wudi was already terrifying to this extent? Someone on the side said that Lin Wudi wasn't alone, that there were many experts at his side. There was Kunlun Pavilion's holy lady, as well as a Saint King's daughter. Perhaps it was them who took action, helping him. Not knowing the difference between life and death. Then I'll personally go. Yu waved his hand, bringing the people at his side forward. Soon after, they arrived at the previous mountain peak. When they saw the shattered armor and corpses in front of them, their faces became incomparably cold. What terrifying sword energy! When those saints saw the cracks in the surroundings, as well as the remnant sword intent on the corpses, their faces were filled with horror. This sword energy is too biting cold. Why do I feel like it was done by the 10,000 Sword Pavilion's people? What kind of connection does Lin Wudi have with the 10,000 Sword Pavilion? Yu asked with a frown. The others said that shouldn't be the case. It was rumored that this unrivaled expert killed Heavenly Mountain's 7 swords, so there was no way he would join hands with the 10,000 Sword Pavilion. Could it be that he did it himself? No wonder he was so arrogant. He had some strength. Later, I'll use the great desolate blade to kill him. Yu's eyes blossomed with shocking light. It was time to display his strength. Let's go. He carried a cold smile, walking forward. 3 days later he caught up to the other party. You are Lin Wudi, right? Daring to kill my people, your guts aren't small. Kneel down now, become my subordinate, work for me, and I can consider leaving you with your life. Otherwise, you and your companions will all die. Yu's voice was incomparably cold. There were idiots every year, but there were especially many this year. Someone who didn't know the difference between life and death had come to throw his life away. The toad coldly snorted. The dark divine dragon also sneered. They didn't take it to heart. Lin Xian looked at the other party. You are Yu? You don't even put your older brother in your eyes, let alone you. If you don't want to die, then scram. You are courting death. Yu was furious. Not only did the other party look down on him, but he also dared to look down on his older brother. He was too arrogant and didn't know what was good for him. Do you know what kind of status my older brother has? My older brother is someone on the holy pilgrimage list. He can crush you to death with a single finger. The other saints of the great desolate mansion also snorted coldly. Lin Wudi, you are too arrogant. You don't know the difference between you and the geniuses on the holy pilgrimage list. Difference? Lin Xian's gaze said, I admit that they have lived a few hundred years longer, and there is a difference in cultivation. But so what? After the heavens fate star left, I can ascend the holy pilgrimage list. Do you believe that I can replace your older brother? Lin Xian indeed had this kind of confidence. With his current strength, he could already contend against late-stage fifth heaven. When his cultivation increased a step further, it wouldn't be a problem for him to contend against little saints. Therefore, he really wasn't boasting. Perhaps in the near future he could do it. When Yu and the others heard this, they laughed. He really didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Did he know that the people on the holy pilgrimage list were all little saints? Moreover, they were extremely terrifying little saints. With just you. Chapter 3970. A fourth heaven late-stage cultivator dared to boast shamelessly, wanting to enter the holy rankings? What kind of joke was this? Ignorant. Lin Xian sneered and shook his head. You are courting death. Yu was completely enraged. The other party had always acted like he was deep and profound. This made him furious. What was he acting for? His cultivation was inferior to his, so kill him. Yu waved his hand. Immediately, the two people beside him rushed up, their spears turning into giant dragons as they slaughtered their way forward. Lin Wudi, kneel down and accept your death. Boom boom. The spears trembled, the power of desolation pervading the air. The space in front of them continuously shattered, drowning out Lin Xian. They retracted their hands, laughing coldly. Even if he didn't die, he would be seriously injured. Don't worry, we controlled our strength so he won't die. However, he only had half a breath left. The two sneered. However, when the space in front of them disappeared, they were stunned. Because Lin Wudi was standing there, his hands behind his back, completely unharmed. How was this possible? The two of them widened their eyes in disbelief. Lin Xian flicked the dust off his body. This was the full power of the two of you? Too weak. You were just scratching my itch. You two should also take a punch from me. He took a step forward, a fist smashing out. The bodies of two saints of the great desolate mansion exploded abruptly. Blood splashed onto Yu and the others' faces. How was this possible? The other party was so strong? These people from great desolate mansion went crazy. Lin Xian retracted his hand, shaking his head. Toad, you go. These people are too weak, I am not interested. Fuck, this great one is not interested either. The toad rolled its eyes. Lin Xian laughed. If you win against these people, they will all become your human pets. And the things in their storage rings will all be given to you. Really? The toad was interested this time. This is not bad. Come, this great one will fight you 300 rounds. Damn it. These people from Great Desolate Mansion were about to grind their teeth to pieces. A toad dared to show off in front of them. Lin Wudi, what is the meaning of this? You actually dare to look down on me? Yu roared crazily. He was going crazy. No one had ever dared to look down on him. I want to fight you one-on-one. One-on-one. Fine, I'll fulfill your wish. Lin Xian walked out. Do you want me to give you a handicap of 1 hand or 3 moves? You're courting death. The other party's condescending attitude made him very unhappy. He opened his mouth and spat out a black storm. It turned into a sharp blade that slashed forward. Lin Xian snorted coldly and waved his hand, shattering the storm. The void in the middle was torn beyond recognition, and shattered beyond recognition. What a strong physique. This scene was too frightening. This was Yu's attack. The other party actually received it barehandedly? The experts of the Great Desolation Mansion felt their scalps go numb. They had always thought that the rumors about the other party were exaggerated, and that they did not care about them at all. But now it seemed that the other party was ridiculously strong. Yu was also alarmed. Just now, that black storm wasn't simple. It carried poison on it, moreover carrying a desolate aura. Even a fifth firmament sage would be injured if they were to come into contact with it. However, the other party had easily shattered it. Thinking of this, his face turned cold. With a stomp of his foot, the void trembled. He turned into a streak of black lightning and pounced forward. At the same time his palm slapped down. A terrifying light flickered above. A desolate mountain pressed down from the sky. Brat, die for me. He used the Great Desolation Mansion's ultimate technique, Desolation Palm. With a palm strike, the surrounding plants quickly withered, as if winter had arrived. How could mere desolation compare to death? Lin Xian snorted coldly and clenched his hand into a fist. The black fist struck out, carrying the overflowing laws of death. The power of death and the power of desolation collided, the two sides continuously tearing each other apart. The plants and demonic beasts in the surrounding hundreds of thousands of miles were instantly deprived of their vitality. Large areas of vegetation withered. Those demonic beasts were also on the verge of death, falling to the ground. That scene was truly too terrifying. The people of the Great Desolation Mansion continuously retreated, supporting their laws to resist. This aura of death was too terrifying. Only the Great Desolation Scripture could block it. Boom. Boom. After an intense collision, Yu retreated, his face filled with shock. The other party actually knew the laws of death, which was incomparably similar to his desolation aura. Moreover, the power was not weaker than his. It was truly too shocking. A fourth firmament ant was actually more powerful than him. One had to know that he was a level higher than the other party. He could kill people of the same level as him like cutting vegetables. But now he could not do anything to the other party. On the other side, Lin Xian was also surprised. To be able to block his laws of death, it was a bit interesting. The Great Desolation Scripture was indeed mysterious. As expected of the Holy City's ultimate technique. Then let's see if your desolation is stronger, or my death is stronger. The aura on Yu's body became even more terrifying. His eyes released cold lightning, like a demon, incomparably terrifying. The terrifying desolation aura formed countless blades that slashed down from the sky. Great Desolation Blade. The entire world was shaking. This was a peerless blade technique. It was incomparable as it ruthlessly slashed towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian also used the laws of death. The terrifying scythe of death continuously attacked. At the same time, his other hand struck out with the sun sword. Together with the laws of sword, it erupted with incomparably dazzling light. Both the blade and sword struck out, resisting it head-on. When the two collided, it was as if two worlds had collided, interweaving with an incomparable aura. Boom. Boom. Shocking Great Tao was released, causing the saints of the Great Desolation Mansion to be terrified. This Lin Wudi could actually resist the Great Desolation Blade. It was really too inconceivable. Do you think young Master Yu can win? Nonsense. The final victor will definitely be our young master. These people gritted their teeth. Although they said that they were nervous to the extreme because they did not have the confidence to win. On the other side, the dark red divine dragon and Murong Qingqing were also nervously watching. In front, the two people exchanged blows as fast as lightning. Their speed was very fast, instantly colliding over 1,000 times. Then they quickly separated. Lin Xian's aura surged. On the other side, there was indeed a sword wound on Yu's body, piercing through his shoulder. Blood flowed down from his shoulder. Not good, the young master was injured. When the people of the Great Desolation Mansion saw this scene, they were extremely terrified. They did not expect that the one who was injured was actually their young master. Did Lin Wudi gain the upper hand? Should they attack? Their faces were incomparably cold. However, Yu waved his hand, stopping their actions. Brat, to be able to injure me, you have thoroughly angered me. Desolation heaven destroying slash. A desolate blade appeared in his hand, carrying an incomparable aura. The desolation on it erupted. This attack was unparalleled. It caused the expressions of Murong Qingqing, Li Hongxiu, and the others to change. This blade was too powerful. Lin Xian's expression was also grave. He still had a trump card? Good. He laughed loudly. The power of yin and yang merged, forming a taiji diagram, turning into a taiji sword. Chapter 3971. Heaven and earth lost their luster. Only a Tai Chi light spun, splitting everything apart. Yuye's body stopped in midair. The desolate blade in his hand also stopped. A bloody scar appeared between his brows, and it was getting bigger and bigger. With a poochie sound, his body split into two. Ah! A miserable sound rang out, making one's scalp go numb. Young master! The saints of the great desolate mansion finally couldn't hold it in anymore. They screamed in horror. Their young master was actually split into two halves. Damn it! These people rushed forward. Hurry up and attack. Many people charged towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian waved his sword. The power of yin and yang blasted these people away. The toad, the dark red dragon, and the others were also angry. What? You want to bully me with numbers? Put it on. They rushed forward crazily. Come, 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 let me teach you how to behave. The toad attacked crazily. The divine toad technique. Each slap could knock out a person's head. On the other side, the dark red dragon was also incomparably powerful. He was simply a peerless Tyrannosaurus Rex. In addition, he was constantly using formations, causing those people to scream miserably. Murong Qingqing and Li Hongxiu also attacked. These two proud daughters of heaven attacked fiercely. They were even more terrifying than the toad and the dark red dragon. Although there were more than 20 saints on Bumblebee's side, they were incomparably miserable. The North Demon didn't attack. He directly summoned the sky-piercing divine tree. It took root between heaven and earth, emitting an extremely powerful and mysterious aura to protect Lin Xian and the others. This was an intense battle, but it ended very quickly, because the great desolate mansion was no match at all. Soon, most of the saints were killed. Yu was also beaten up twice. At this moment he finally broke down. His previous lofty ambitions had long disappeared without a trace. Young master, run. The last three people were very strong. They barely managed to survive, but their bodies were covered in injuries. Yuye's expression was unwilling. Let's go. They rushed into the sky. Where could they run to? Lin Xian slashed down, enveloping all four of them. That was the yin-yang sword. It emitted a fatal aura. Damn it, I'll fight it out with you. A fifth firmament late-stage cultivator rushed over. He shouted angrily. Young master, leave quickly. He charged forward alone with two sacred artifacts. Then he detonated the two sacred artifacts. He himself also exploded with a loud bang. This power was truly too violent, enough to overturn everything. Not good. The toad shrieked. Run. Although they were powerful, the might of the explosion of a saint artifact was simply too terrifying. Moreover, there were two of them, plus a saint. It was too dangerous. Lin Xian instantly activated the Great Sage Pagoda to protect everyone. The Great Sage Pagoda violently attacked. When the energy disappeared, they walked out of the Great Sage Tower. The surroundings were in a complete mess. Yu and the others had already fled. Should he still chase after him? Toad temperature. Lin Xian sneered. There was no need. They were not worth mentioning. Indeed, Lin Xian didn't care at all. So what if he was still alive? Even if there were 10 of them, they still wouldn't be his match. That was why he didn't care about them at all. They continued on their way, heading towards the depths of Heaven's Mandate planet again. Meanwhile, on the other side, Yu and the other two fled. They fled into the distance. Only then did they stop in bewilderment. Damn it! Yu roared towards the sky. It really was too sullen. He was determined to become the unmatched existence of the 9th region. He was going to lead all the saints. However, he was defeated in the first battle. And he was defeated so thoroughly. He brought more than 20 people, but now only 2 remained. It really was too miserable. That Lin Wudi, I will definitely kill him. Yuye's eyes were completely red. The expressions of the 2 saints who were still alive were ugly. Young master, don't let your emotions affect your decisions. He is too strong. We are not his match at all. If we continue to provoke him, we might all be wiped out. The 2 of them were also scared. 20 of their companions were all killed. For them, this was a nightmare. They didn't want to experience it again. However, Yu went completely mad. I haven't lost yet. So what if he is strong? I will definitely unite everyone and kill him. Contact Lei Zhen. Contact 10,000 Sword Pavilion's people. Tell them that I will form an alliance with them. After I kill Lin Wudi, my older brother, I will give them benefits." The two saints still wanted to say something, but Yu snorted coldly. "What? You aren't going to listen to me either? Do you really need my older brother to personally give the order?" The two saints sighed. "Young master, please calm down. We will go right now." They were extremely unwilling to accept this. They were already defeated to this extent. Yet they still wanted to continue fighting. Wasn't this just courting death? However, they didn't dare to say anything either. It was because Yu's identity and his older brother's identity were incomparable in the great desolate manner. They didn't dare resist. That was why they could only follow orders. A few days later, those people came. 10 sword saints came from 10,000 Sword Pavilion. Every one of them incomparably terrifying, indomitable. Thunder God City also sent a few experts, but Leijun didn't come. This made Yu a bit angry. However, soon after he snorted coldly. If they were cowards, then so be it. These people were enough. Moreover, experts from 10,000 Fiend City also came. This time, there were even more people than last time, more than 30 of them. Moreover, they were all elite experts with many saint artifacts. This time, how could they not kill the other party? "Let's go." Yu brought his people and slaughtered his way back. The group of people moved majestically through the 9th region. Everywhere they passed, countless people were shocked. What a terrifying aura. Who were those people? They were people from Great Desolate Manor, Thunder God City, and 10,000 Fiend City. There were also experts from some great families. What were these people trying to do? The one leading them was Yu, right? They didn't know who he was going to attack. These people discussed spiritedly. Someone said, "When I passed by, I saw many corpses of saints in Great Desolate Manor. I reckon that Yu is going to take revenge." What? Who could kill more than 10 saints from Great Desolate Manor? These people were stupefied. Could it be Lin Wudi? They thought about it and realized that only Lin Wudi could do something so daring. Did this Yu eat a bear's heart or a leopard's gall? He actually dared to contend against Lin Wudi. Some people sneered. Lin Wudi's strength had long been deeply rooted in everyone's hearts. Even those head disciples weren't his match. What did Yu have? There were others who sneered. What did you know? So what if Lin Wudi was strong? Could he be stronger than the Holy Pilgrimage rankings? Yu's older brother was one of the top geniuses on the Holy Pilgrimage rankings, Yu Quan. Did you think he would fear Lin Wudi? What? It was actually that person? Now these people all saw it. Back then, when the world was divided into 9, they saw 5 figures standing there like gods and devils. That powerful aura made everyone despair. They knew that those 5 people were the ones who stood above everyone else. Perhaps no one on Heaven's Mandate planet was stronger than Zhou's people. Even Lin Wudi had to lower his head in front of them. No wonder Yu was so confident. Chapter 3972. Soon after, Yu brought people, catching up to Lin Xian again. They roared angrily. "I've come for revenge. This time, you will undoubtedly die." Yu's sacred artifact was ice cold. The people he found were all Lin Wudi's enemies, especially the 10,000 Sword Pavilion. Right now, they were extremely eager to kill the other party. Sure enough, those sword saints were indomitable, their auras incomparably terrifying. "Motherfucker, you all actually still dare to come? Do you really think this great one is a pushover?" The toad was so angry it jumped up. The dark red divine dragon also snorted coldly. This emperor looked for you all last time. Do you all still not want to die? Brat, kill them." Even Morong Qingqing, Li Hongxiu, and the others had ice-cold expressions. These people courted death again and again. They really didn't know the difference between life and death. Lin Xian's eyes were like lightning. He stood out, saying coldly, "Last time, I spared your life, not because I feared your older brother, but because I felt that you were too trash. Even 10 of you wouldn't be able to pose any threat to me, so I didn't continue to chase after you. But I didn't expect that you actually didn't know the difference between life and death. Even though you are a fly, if too many flies fly in front of me, it will also annoy me. So this time, I won't let you go again." Yu was so angry his entire body trembled. The other party actually dared to call him a fly. He couldn't endure it. Kill him for me. Whoever kills Lin Wudi, my older brother will reward them handsomely. Kill. The eyes of a few great families' saints turned red. To be able to have a relationship with a heavenly genius on the holy pilgrimage list. This was their supreme glory. As for people like Thousand Fiend City, Thunder God City, and 10,000 Sword Pavilion, there was even less of a need to talk. They had enmity with Lin Xian to begin with. So at this moment, they even more so wouldn't hold back. Motherfucker, this great one is going to die from anger. I'm going to make a move first. The toad roared, its entire body bouncing out. Two large claws covering heaven and earth, crushing down like a mountain. Damn toad, you actually dare to be arrogant in front of us. A fierce tiger and lion roared. The two of them were both fifth heaven saints, the power of their bloodlines incomparable. At this moment, how could they place a toad in their eyes? The two of them laughed nastily and attacked, wanting to kill the toad. The toad roared, do you two want to die? My bloodline is much stronger than yours. The claws became even more terrifying as they enveloped the two beast saints. However, at this time, the two of them screamed miserably as their heads flew into the air. It turned out that the two sword lights had directly chopped off their heads. Damn brat, you dare to steal from me? The toad was angry. It turned out that Lin Xian had made a move. Brat, you're not allowed to steal the person you found from me. Lin Xian's figure flickered, and his entire body transformed into a taiji diagram. Half of it was bright like fire, while the other half was pitch black like grinding stone. He brought with him an unparalleled aura. Wherever he passed, he split the six saints apart. Too strong, simply unparalleled. Damn it, those people were so scared that they retreated. Yu shouted angrily. Hurry, don't be scared of him, join hands to attack him. While speaking, he struck out with the great desolate blade, continuously attacking. Meanwhile, at this time, the 10 great sword saints also attacked. Leave Lin Wudi to us. With a roar, they unleashed an unparalleled amount of sword chi towards the front. Wherever it passed, heaven collapsed and earth split apart. Hong hong hong. This aura was too terrifying. Everyone's scalps went numb. Yes, people all became excited. This was too great. Such powerful 10 sword saints. This Lin Wudi definitely couldn't contend against them. Hurry and attack. They crazily slaughtered their way towards Murong Qingsheng, Dark Rainbow Divine Dragon, and the others. A giant pitch-black sword descended. It was as if 100,000 great mountains were descending at the same time. This was a sword saint. Moreover, what he cultivated was heavy sword laws. It could be said that he possessed boundless strength, able to split heaven and earth. If a saint of the same level was suppressed by this sword energy, their bodies would shatter. However, he still underestimated Lin Xian. How powerful was Lin Xian's physique? Sun sword, endless radiance. 9 suns split the heavens. A single sword tore apart the other party's sword energy. The black mountains that filled the sky were split apart. Not only that, a crack even appeared on that black long sword. How was this possible? That sword saint's pupils contracted fiercely, his heart even dripping blood. This was his treasured sword after all. However, it was actually cracked by the other party. Damn it, who exactly was the other party? Why was his sword technique so fierce? Wang. Right when he was distracted, a streak of pitch-black sword light flew over, instantly hacking into his body. The death laws it carried frantically absorbed his life force. He screamed in fright, quickly backing up. In that instant, half of his body caved in. It was as if he turned into a dried corpse. Damn it! He roared angrily, displaying his strength to recover. Meanwhile, the others quickly slaughtered their way over. Lin Xian's palm moved. Endless sword energy interweaved, forming a yin-yang diagram, carrying out a defense. It also carried the power of stars. Each time it spun, it would bounce these people's sword energy away. Wang. Lin Xian took action again. The great sun sword, with the light of life, charged towards the injured sword saint. The sword had split him into 2 halves. He screamed crazily, trying to heal, but it carried the supreme sword energy. In addition, the terrifying flames had already burned his body. He could not heal at all. No, damn it, hurry up and save him. He called for help like his companions. The The remaining 9 sword saints were completely enraged when they saw this scene. Damn brat, how dare you! They rushed over crazily, turning into 9 peerless sword lights, tearing everything apart. Lin Xian did not fight against them. Instead, he watched this scene coldly. Those 9 people wanted to save them, but they found that their companions had already been killed. Damn it! Lin Wudi, I will not rest until you die. The 9 people charged over crazily. At the same time, there was someone hiding in the dark, trying to sneak an attack on Lin Xian. However, he was shocked by Lin Xian's body. It was directly shattered. Lin Xian stomped his foot, shattering the starry sky for a million li. Those people hiding in the void couldn't resist at all. They were all forced out. They spat out large mouthfuls of blood. Their bodies shattered. Meanwhile, Lin Xian used Jade Sea Tide, tearing apart these people's souls. Those people screamed crazily. Corpses fell one after another. These people were all horrified. Damn it, how could he be so strong? In reality, when they received the invitation before, they were originally a bit worried. However, when they thought of Yu Ye's identity, together with the 4 sword saints, they were full of confidence. They should be able to kill the other party, right? But now they really fought. They were in despair. Why did they have to provoke this demon king? Those who still wanted to assassinate quickly retreated. Only the 9 sword saints dared to fight against Lin Xian. The 9 sword saints' hair flew about chaotically, sword energy overflowing into the heavens. They continuously attacked. In an instant, they even used 10,000 swords returned to origin. Endless sword energy on the 9 people's bodies rushed down with terrifying power. Slow sword. Chapter 3973. Lin Xian's speed became very slow. This was the power of the laws affecting him. At this moment, someone attacked again. A golden sword light was unparalleled. This sword law carried an extremely strong attack power, enough to destroy everything. With a clang, he collided with Lin Xian's body. Lin Xian was stunned and retreated, leaving a white mark on his body. However, it was not destroyed. How could it be so powerful? That sword energy was terrified, while the other sword saints shouted loudly. They were affected, and their speed became very slow. Now quickly attack. The 9 of them attacked crazily. Lin Xian opened the sky with both hands, and the Taiji diagram kept spinning, sucking all the sword energy over. Those sword energy were all integrated into the Taiji diagram, bound by that power. Lin Xian revealed a cold smile. You want to contend with me with just you? You're still far from it. With a roar, the stars moved, and the terrifying power flew out. These sword energy flew back with an extremely terrifying power. Puff puff, puff puff puff. The 9 sword saints were forced to retreat and vomit blood. This was their power to kill the other party, but now they were injured. The law of diffusion is very powerful, but it can't do anything to me. Shatter. With a roar, Lin Xian opened the sky with a sword, directly shattering the law space, and then charged out. Buzz. He used the Kuan Peng movement technique, and arrived in front of that person. Sword law. This sword was very pure and it charged forward. No, that sword saint roared. He attacked crazily with the diffusion sword technique, forming a slowing zone. However, it was useless. Lin Xian's every attack now carried the supreme aura of the great dragon sword soul. So with a p sound, this sword shattered the other party's law, and pierced into the other party's heart. Then the sword energy exploded, causing that person's body to be torn into pieces. Damn it! Starry Sky Sword Technique. Another person roared. He used 10,000 swords returned to origin, and executed a peerless sword technique. Those sword chis were like stars, forming a starry sky map that covered the entire sky, flashing nonstop. From the looks of it, he wanted to completely suppress Lin Xian. Lin Xian used the Taiji diagram to fight against it. At the same time, like a huge dragon, he floated up. He tore apart the starry sky sword technique, and arrived in front of that person. Another sword strike. The yin yang sword had completely killed this person. The man was split into 2 halves. Half of his body became a dried corpse, while the other half was burned to ashes by the raging flames. In the blink of an eye, another sword saint had died. Lin Xian, on the other hand, was like a god of slaughter as he began to harvest. With a wave of the 5 elements sword art, the sword transformed into metal, wood, water, and earth. They circled around and stabbed into the body of a sword saint. Then the 5 elements merged into one. He killed the sword saint until his soul was scattered. No, stop it. The remaining sword saints roared crazily. They felt that they were no match for the other party. In fact, he couldn't even block a single sword strike. He was too strong. They felt that even a person at the late stage of the 5th heaven was no match for him. Below the small saint realm, who could compete with him? Let's go. These people's hearts were bleeding. They didn't want to fight anymore. The powerful sword saints retreated. The others became even more terrified. They were also killed miserably. That was because other than Lin Xian, everyone else was extremely powerful. They were not weaker than the chief disciple. How could they be a match for him? Want to leave? Don't you think it's too late? Lin Xian struck out with supreme sword qi. The Taiji diagram covered the sky and the earth, and the yin-yang aura hung down, blocking all paths. He charged towards the remaining sword saints. Damn it! Those sword saints roared. They were going to fight it out with him. 10,000 swords returned to sect. Endless sword qi surrounded them. 4 sword saints charged over and fought with Lin Xian. However, they were all killed in the end. Lin Xian also suffered some injuries, but it was not a big deal. The more he fought, the braver he became. Under his feet, the corpses of the 10 sword saints prostrated. He was like a god. He turned his head, and his eyes were like lightning as he stared at a figure in the distance. Pooh! When Yu saw this scene, he almost knelt on the ground in fright. How was this possible? How could the 10 sword saints be killed so easily? Was he still human? Right now, Yu was extremely regretful. He felt that he seemed to have made a wrong decision. The other party's strength far exceeded his imagination. He seemed to have provoked someone he couldn't provoke. Beside him, the 2 great desolate manor saints also felt their scalps go numb. Too strong. They seemed to have seen Yu Quan in the past. Back then, Yu Quan was invincible like this, and in the end he became one of the peerless experts on the pilgrimage list. And now Lin Wudi was too similar. Young master, let's go. The 2 saints persuaded him. Actually, even without them saying, Yu already wanted to leave. He nodded and quickly retreated. At this time, the toad sent a slap over. You want to escape? Take this. Toad divine art. With a pu sound, 2 terrifying large palms slapped the 2 great sage individuals until their chi and blood surged. They stopped. Damn toad, you're courting death. Yu roared, a blade hacking down. This blade was incomparable. The toad's 2 claws brandished, catching the blade barehanded. With a pung sound, he directly clamped down on the long blade. Yu was shocked. He had always been a toad, yet his strength was already this strong? He felt like he was about to go crazy. Meanwhile, at this time, Lin Xian already slaughtered his way over. Terrifying killing intent made the 3 scalps go numb, their bodies go ice cold. The toad snickered. How about it? Brat, this great one helped you stop this fella. I've done a great service. Yu turned around, his eyes carrying biting cold killing intent. He roared angrily. Brat, what do you want? Do you dare touch me? My older brother is Yu Quan. If you touch me, you'll get on the pilgrimage list, right? You'll undoubtedly die. Idiot, you still dare to act so arrogantly even now. You really don't know the difference between life and death. I already said that you're just a fly. I can't be bothered to make a move. Toad, I'll leave this person to you. After you torture him to death, I'll let you eat roasted golden crow. Really? When the toad thought of that delicacy, its eyes immediately shone. Good, good. Just see if this great one doesn't beat him to death. He attacked crazily. You're courting death. Yu roared angrily. The 2 great sage individuals also roared, quickly attacking. Young master, you leave first. Just as they made their moves, a yin sword and a yang sword stabbed into their bodies, causing them to explode. The 2 were stupefied, dying with remaining grievances. Lin Xian released a cold snort. Just you 2. You dare act arrogantly in front of us? Only Yu was left. Lin Xian didn't care at all. Hell, just let the other party die in the hands of a toad. This was the most sullen way to die. Then he began to look around. The surrounding people were already in miserable states to begin with, not a match at all. When they saw Lin Xian walk over, they were immediately scared witless. The experts of several great families directly knelt down, continuously kowtowing. Spare us. We were blinded by greed, tricked here by him. We beg you to spare us. Lin Xian released a cold snort, the death-sharpening blade continuously brandished. Since they dared come, then they should have thought of the consequences. He took away all of these people's vitality, turning them into piles of white bones. Chapter 3974. As for the remaining people, there was no need for him to make a move. Morong Qingqing and the others directly killed them on the spot. These people's statuses and strength were all extremely powerful, so they weren't afraid of offending them at all. In the end, the ground was covered in saint corpses, blood flowing like a river. The earth sank, the sky shattered, unable to withstand the fall of so many saints. The entire 9th region was filled with ghostly wails and wolf howls, a rain of blood filling the air. At this moment, the people scattered in the 9th region all raised their heads towards the sky. It was raining blood. Heaven and earth mourned. Heavens, how many saints died? Who was it? A great battle was happening? They couldn't help but tremble. Lin Xian and the others were surrounded by mountains of corpses and seas of blood. The people who came to assassinate them, apart from Yu, were all dead. Right now, Yu was also beaten beyond recognition. He was continuously tortured by the toad, his entire body shattered, screaming crazily. In the end, the toad smashed the other party's head with a palm, wanting to kill the other party. Right at this time, a figure flew out from the other party's shattered head. It was a hazy figure, displaying a terrifying aura as soon as he appeared. The toad's attack was shattered. He stood there like a demon god. Damn, he actually still had a trump card. The toad was given a fright. Morong Qingqing and the others also turned around, frowning. Lin Xian's eyes were like rainbows, looking forward. There was a pitch-black demonic figure in front of him. Who dares to harm my younger brother? The black figure said coldly. Yu Quan. Li Hongxiu frowned, then looked towards Lin Xian, saying softly. This should be a soul imprint that Yu Quan left on his younger brother. Soul imprint. Lin Xian coldly snorted, looking forward. Your younger brother has tried to kill me time and time again. He deserves 10,000 deaths. Do you think you can protect him? Audacious. That black figure said coldly. Who do you think you are, daring to contend against me? All of you kneel down and accept your death. Although it was only a soul imprint, it displayed supreme divine might. He looked down on everything, not placing the world in his eyes. When Lin Xian heard this, he laughed. Did he really think he was a great emperor? You're just a little saint at best, and you're just a soul imprint. Do you think you can scare us? Lin Xian gripped the death demonic blade and strode forward. And it seems like you don't know what's good for you. Yu Quan's soul imprint was completely enraged. On the side, Yu Ye's soul also continuously screamed. Brother, kill him, help me kill him. Tear his corpse into 10,000 pieces. Lin Xian's death demonic saber slashed down, and Yu Quan's soul mark resisted. A great battle ensued. Not long after, he was killed. Although Secluded Spring was powerful, he was only a wisp of soul imprint, and was unable to do anything to Lin Xian. When he saw that soul imprint shatter, Yu Ye's soul screamed. His brother's soul imprint had been destroyed. Damn it, impossible. He screamed crazily as Lin Xian used the great dragon sword to split him apart. His soul was completely destroyed. At the same time, in the depths of District 7, a frenzied roar could be heard. The great Tao of heaven and earth intertwined as if the end of the world had occurred. All the sages in Division 7 felt their scalps go numb. Changtian, what had happened? This aura was truly too terrifying. Just who was it that was angry? They all trembled, not daring to move forward. Meanwhile, in the depths of District 7, there was a man in black armor, looking like a demonic god. His eyes were completely red. Damn it, you actually dared to kill my little brother. I will definitely tear your corpse into 10,000 pieces. The person who was roaring was precisely Yu Quan. His soul imprint had shattered, so he naturally sensed it. That was why he knew everything that had happened before. The followers beside him were also extremely shocked. They had never seen Yuquan so angry before. Moreover, from the other party's words, they understood the situation. It made their eyelids twitch crazily. Was Yu killed? This was too inconceivable. This was Yuquan's younger brother, and more importantly, Yu's strength wasn't weak either. He was the head disciple, and his talent was extremely great. Before long, he would have a chance to enter the sage rankings. Had such a person been killed? Who exactly was it? Their gazes pierced through layers of the void, looking towards District 9. Young Master, who killed the young master? At this time, a beautiful woman at the side asked. It's that Lin Wudi. He doesn't know the difference between life and death. I will definitely tear his corpse into 10,000 pieces. Yuquan's voice was exceptionally cold. He really couldn't tolerate an ant daring to fight against him, and even dared to kill his younger brother. The people behind him sucked in a breath of cold air when they heard this. Lin Wudi. This wasn't the first time they had heard this name. It seemed that this time around, there was really an incredible genius that had appeared. This brat didn't know the difference between life and death. Immediately, someone stood out. Young master, don't worry. I'll go and kill him right now. I'll go too. Another person also stood out. The auras on their bodies surged abnormally. There was no rush. Yuquan turned around and said coldly, we are in District 7 and he is in District 9. If we cross over to kill him, he will be suppressed by the Great Tao. Moreover, there was fog right now, and they couldn't see the situation in other areas. It would be very troublesome if they crossed over. If they went a bit further, their field of vision would widen. At that time, they would lock onto him and cross over to kill him. We will follow the young master's orders. The two of them cupped their fists. Then the group quickly moved deeper into the forest. At the same time, the people in the other 8 areas also moved forward together. In District 9, Lin Xian and the others also set off quickly. During this period, they also encountered many obstacles and even encountered big trouble in the end. They had no choice but to stop, because they couldn't break through the fog with their strength. Therefore they waited. A few days later, the people behind all arrived. These people's faces were pale because they passed by the place where the battle took place and saw so many corpses of saints. They were all scared out of their wits. They naturally knew that there was only one person who could do this, and that was Lin Wudi. Now they saw Lin Wudi standing in front as if waiting for someone. They were all afraid. Could it be that he was waiting for them? These people hesitated, not daring to move forward. The toad roared. Come here. Those people were about to cry. The toad continued to roar. What, are you all deaf? Hurry up and come here. Being taught a lesson by a toad, if it were any other time, they would have been furious and counterattacked. But now they didn't dare to. This toad was Lin Wudi's subordinate, so they could only brace themselves and go over. May I know why young Master Lin is looking for us? These people asked cautiously. The toad opened its mouth and wanted to say something, but it was stopped by the North Demon. The North Demon stood up and said in a deep voice. The road ahead was blocked by a peerless array formation. We need to work together to break it. Otherwise, no one can pass. Is there a peerless array formation blocking the road? These people were shocked. Even Lin Wudi and the others can't pass? That must be extremely terrifying. It seems that we really need to work together. Some of them were quite smart. They immediately cupped their fists and said, we are willing to follow young Master Lin. Young Master Lin is our leader. Chapter 3975. The others also chimed in one after another. Yes, we will listen to young Master Lin's orders. At this moment Lin Xian walked out and said, okay, but we don't have enough people. We have to wait. The array formation in front was too terrifying. They would probably need to gather most of the sages to break it. These people waited here. Actually, it wasn't just them. The other 8 regions were also blocked by this peerless array formation. They needed to work together. Among them, the 5 regions were led by the 5 geniuses on the pilgrim roll. Nobody dared to disobey their orders. However, in some other regions, there were battles and killings. There was no choice. Because the geniuses of some regions stood side by side, these people naturally had to fight. After all, commanding the crowd was a supreme position. These geniuses were all arrogant and unruly. No one was willing to bow down to others. In the 9th region, more and more people gathered. In the end, Lei Jun also came. The remaining sword saints of the 10,000 Swords Pavilion also came. They looked unfriendly. Lei Jun didn't attack immediately. The sword saints did walk over, emitting an incomparable aura. Their 10 sword saints died in the hands of the other party again. Toad glanced at them and sneered. Why? Do you still want to fight? I don't mind sending you to hell. The 5 sword saints snorted coldly and didn't say anything. At this moment, the northern demon stood out and said loudly, I think everyone already knows the situation. There is a peerless array formation in front. We need to work together to break it. Therefore, at this time, we don't want internal strife. Speaking of this, he looked at Lei Jun and the sword saints. Lei Jun and the others snorted coldly and didn't say anything. They also knew that they couldn't break it with their own strength. At this time, they had to work together. Those who had already submitted previously cupped their fists and smiled. Don't worry, we will definitely follow young Master Lin. Young Master Lin is our leader. When the others saw this scene, they all submitted one after another. Lin Xian's strength terrified them. They didn't dare to fight with him at all. They could work together, but they had to respect him. Lei Jun spoke at this moment. You wouldn't bow down to Lin Wudi. You want to lead us? The 5 sword saints also coldly snorted. Their eyes filled with monstrous fury. Obviously, these people were not convinced by Lin Xian. What, are you thinking of rebelling? The toad jumped out, and the dark red dragon sneered. Come. This king will teach you how to behave. Lin Xian reached out to stop the two of them and walked out. The two of you don't want to rely on me? Very well, then you can rely on yourselves. At this point, his voice became piercingly cold. Who wants to follow them? I'll give you a chance now. However, from now on, don't even think about coming over to our side. At that time, whether he lived or died, it would be his choice. I'll give you 5 seconds to think about it. Hearing this, the other people who didn't have a choice began to hesitate. From the looks of it, they were given a choice. Should they submit to Lin Xian, the 10,000 Swords Pavilion, or Lei Jun? In an instant, the majority of the people were on Lin Xian's side. The others hesitated for a moment before leaning towards Lin Xian one after another. On Lei Jun's side, other than the people from Thunder God City and a few people from Demon City, there was no one else. The 5 sword saints were even more miserable. There were only the 5 of them. This scene made them vomit blood. Damn it, a bunch of trash. What do you know? How dare you look down on us? They were so angry that they vomited blood. This showed that the other party didn't think highly of them at all. What qualifications did Lin Wudi have to compete with them? The others lowered their heads and didn't dare to say anything. However, they sneered in their hearts. So many battles had happened before, and the 10 sword saints had died. What was the difference between these 5? They were very clear that no one could compete with Lin Xian in the 9th district. Seeing this scene, Lin Xian also smiled. Very good, it seems that you have made a wise decision. Don't worry, under my lead, you will definitely be able to pass through the formation. Then he looked at the 5 sword saints and Lei Jun. Since you are not willing to respect me, then I won't force you. You can make a living on your own. You have 2 choices. First, you can break through first. Once you break through, you can pass through. Second, let me break the formation, but you have to scram. You are not allowed to come back for 10 days. What? Lei Jun was about to go crazy. The people of the 5 great sword saints were also furious. Damn it, is he trying to trap us here forever? Lin Wudi, don't go too far. The sword energy on the 5 sword saints rumbled. Lin Xian snorted. I have already given you face by not killing you immediately. If you dare to lose your temper with me again, I can guarantee that I will let you go to hell with your fellow disciples. Don't doubt my words. His body emitted an even more terrifying sword intent. Everyone's scalp went numb. It seemed that their choice was correct because Lin Xian's sword intent was much more powerful than the 5 sword saints. The 5 sword saints' faces also darkened. They were so angry that they were depressed. Damn it, the other party had clearly just condensed the law of sword. Why was he so much stronger than them? Next, Lin Xian and the others began to break the formation. They were unwilling to let Lei Zhen and the 5 sword saints break the formation first, so they were chased away. They stood in the distance and felt the terrifying aura and energy in front of them. Their faces all darkened. 5 days later, they came back. Lin Xian and the others stopped and turned to look. The dark red divine dragon snorted. "What, do you want to take advantage of us?" The toad roared. "Do you want to take advantage of me? I will drown you with a mouthful of spit." Lei Zhen was fuming with rage, but he still managed to suppress his anger. He gritted his teeth and said, "We are willing to join." On the other side, the 5 sword saints also said, "We are also joining." The surrounding people were stunned. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes, and the toad came out. "What are you talking about? I didn't hear you. Speak louder." "I said I am willing to join." Lei Zhen roared, and the 9 days of divine thunder rolled. On the other side, the 5 sword saints also closed their eyes and shouted angrily, "We are also willing to join." Everyone was stunned. Lin Xian looked up to the sky and laughed loudly. It seemed that these unruly people had finally bowed their heads at his feet. "Then who do you respect?" he asked indifferently. The 5 sword saints said willingly, "You are the leader." On the other side, Lei Zhen gritted his teeth so hard that they almost shattered. "For the time being, you are the leader." The surrounding saint experts. They were all stunned. These 2 forces actually bowed their heads. It was really too unbelievable. One had to know that Lin Wudi was strong and could kill many experts. But it didn't mean that everyone would submit. There were some people who would rather die than submit to someone. But now, Lei Zhen had submitted. The 5 sword saints had also submitted. Although it might only be temporary. But this undoubtedly showed that Lin Xian was really too powerful. Let these peers, even the older generation, they had no choice but to submit. Such a figure. It was very rare. And once there was one, their future achievements would definitely be limitless. For example, these people on the pilgrimage list. They were born strong, or even supreme existences. They could make others submit. Countless experts gathered under them. Lin Xian. Did he want to become such a person? Chapter 3976. In their hearts. It was too shocking. It was incredible. It seemed that the pilgrim list would stir up a storm in the future. Yes, this Lin Wudi had a great chance of ascending the pilgrim list. They didn't believe it before. But when they saw Lei Zhen and the others submit, they knew that Lin Xian would very likely ascend the pilgrim list in the future and become a supreme existence. Alright, since I'm the leader, then listen to my orders. Lei Zhen, you lead people to attack the west. 5 sword saints. The 5 of you work together to attack the east. The rest of you will attack as before. Lin Xian stood above the 9 heavens like a god, giving out orders. The people around him quickly moved. They had cooperated very well in the past 5 days. Lei Zhen and the 5 sword saints were unwilling to give up. They were so proud and powerful before, but now they had to listen to someone else's orders. However, they had already chosen to join, so during this period, no matter how unhappy they were, they would listen to orders. Sure enough, Lei Zhen and the 5 sword saints moved. They began to attack the array according to Lin Xian's orders. 3 days later, Lei Zhen was shocked. The 5 great sword saints were also shocked. To be honest, they were completely stunned in the past 3 days. Their previous displeasure disappeared, replaced by a hint of fear. That's right, fear. Because in the past few days, they realized that Lin Xian was really too strong. He was simply unfathomable. It was no wonder that he could kill so many sword saints. On the other side, Lei Zhen's eyes were red. He was extremely jealous. To be honest, he had never submitted to anyone. Even those on the pilgrim list, he thought that he would be able to ascend it one day. But in the past 3 days, he was filled with fear of Lin Xian. Because Lin Xian's methods terrified him. He realized that he was completely behind Lin Xian. If he didn't make a big breakthrough in the future, he would be left behind by Lin Xian for the rest of his life. He would never be able to catch up to Lin Xian. That was what he was most afraid of. An enemy that he could never defeat would be his lifelong nightmare. No, I have to break through as soon as possible. Lei Zhen clenched his fists. He wasn't a match for Lin Xian right now, so he wouldn't make a move against Lin Xian. However, he swore that he would break through to the minor saint realm as soon as possible. In this way, he still has a chance to turn the tables. As for the other saints, they were even more impressed. At this moment, everyone regarded Lin Xian as the true leader and god, treating him as their leader. No one dared to resist anymore. Under such circumstances, coupled with Lin Xian's mastery of the dark red divine dragon and Murong Qingcheng's formidable strength, they were able to make a breakthrough. Deciphering this array formation was like traveling 1,000 miles in a day. Boom. Boom. After another 5 days, they finally broke through the formation. When the formation shattered, no one dared to believe it. In their opinion, no one under the minor saint realm could break such a formation. However, they had succeeded under the leadership of Lin Xian. And in such a short amount of time. Haha, this is great. These people cheered wildly, thanking young Master Lin. Young Master Lin, your array formation is superb. We admire you. At this moment, these people prostrated themselves in admiration. Lei Jun and the 5 sword saints also fell silent. They didn't resist or say anything, but their eyes were filled with fear. Let's go. Lin Xian laughed heartily as he waved his hand and led the group forward. They were like a torrent, invincible. In the next few days, they encountered danger again. There were formations and even powerful demonic beasts. They were all eliminated by their joint efforts. The same thing happened in the other regions, except for the 9th region where Lin Xian was. The regions where the 5 saint rankings were located were the fastest. Of course, this speed was only slightly faster than Lin Xian and the rest. As for the other regions, they were relatively slower because they had to go through a great battle to determine who was the leader. Of course, in the end they joined forces. These people joined forces to become the leader, advancing and retreating together. For example, in the 8th region, the 9 Qilins swept across the 4 regions. However, he also had a powerful opponent. That was the chief disciple of the Acheron Hall, Lung Rufin. He was very powerful and could even control white bones. Moreover, the Acheron shop also had someone on the saint rankings. Therefore, even though the 9 Qilins had a powerful bloodline, they had no choice but to join forces with him. The 2 of them were the leaders. In the 5th region, Gao Yu and Bai Luo, these 2 rivals also joined forces. The 2 peerless beauties became the leaders, commanding countless experts and geniuses under them. In the 4th region, there was one person who was the leader. The situation was similar to Lin Xian's. This person was called Jianchen, and he was very powerful. He was the chief disciple of the 10,000 Swords Pavilion. Even the first prince of the New Moon race, and the others in the same region were willing to submit. One could imagine how terrifying the other party was. And there was another reason. The neighboring 3rd region was the region where Wang Jianyi was. Wang Jianyi was a genius on the saint rankings and an expert of the 10,000 Sword City. Therefore, the people in the 4th region didn't dare to provoke him. If he crossed regions to fight, no one would be his match. The people in the 9 regions gathered all their strength and began to crack their respective formations and difficulties. Finally, a month later, they reached the deepest region. He could already sense a mysterious aura in front of him. The ripples caused the Dao flowers on their bodies to surge violently. At this moment, the heavenly Dao flowers on their bodies were incomparably dazzling and abnormally hazy. However, there weren't many of them. It wasn't that they were weak, but that too many things had happened before. These people had already exchanged for all kinds of natural treasures. The further they went, the more heavenly Dao golden lotuses they consumed. Therefore, in the end, the number of heavenly Dao golden lotuses they condensed became fewer and fewer. This was also why people as strong as Fu Hongya and Huang Shisan could only condense 5 or 6 heavenly Dao golden lotuses at most. Because too many of them had been used up. It was the same for Lin Xian. He had condensed 7 heavenly Dao golden lotuses before, but each heavenly Dao golden lotus was worth a year. Then he killed many more experts. These experts had also exchanged for treasures. None of them had too many heavenly Dao golden lotuses on them. Lin Xian had killed so many experts. At this moment, he had condensed 4 heavenly Dao golden lotuses. Among them, Murong Qingqing and Li Hongxiu had 4 heavenly Dao golden lotuses just like him. The North Yao and the Dark Red Dragon had 3. As for the saints under him, they had even fewer heavenly Tao golden lotuses. For now, it was already very eye-catching to have 2 heavenly Tao golden lotuses. However, these people were satisfied. After all, they had already obtained heavenly Tao golden lotuses, and exchanged for many natural treasures and cultivation methods. Therefore, even if they didn't have any heavenly Tao golden lotuses now, they didn't care too much. Of course, not everyone didn't care. Top geniuses like Lei Zhen and Nine-Headed Qilin were very concerned. Chapter 3977. As a top prodigy, he would be laughed at if he didn't have a few heavenly Tao golden lotuses. At this moment they were in the depths of the 8th level. The area between them was no longer shrouded in fog, so even if they were far away, they could still detect each other with their strength. Especially in adjacent areas, both sides could detect each other. Lin Xian and the others saw 9 Qilins in the 8th area. There was also a man in a yellow robe. They were the leaders. Young Master Lin. That man is the chief disciple of the Acheron Hall Lung Rufin. A middle-aged man beside him said respectfully. He's from the Acheron Hall. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes and looked into the distance. In the 8th area, 9 Qilins and Lung Rufin also turned their heads to look. Their gazes collided in the air, causing the void to shatter. This person is Lin Wudi? Lung Rufin sneered. The 9-Headed Qilin snorted. Yes, it's him. Don't underestimate him. He's very strong. Is that so? Lung Rufin didn't care. That's because he hasn't met me yet. Otherwise, I would have taught him a lesson. He didn't care. Although he was also the chief disciple, he could control countless skeletons, and the dead people around him would become his puppets. Therefore, he wasn't fighting alone. If they really fought, he could control countless skeletons. No matter how strong Lin Xian was, he wouldn't be able to resist. The 9-Headed Qilin beside him was cold, and didn't refute. He had fought with Lin Xian more than once, so he naturally knew how terrifying Lin Xian was. Lung Rufin would probably only know that after he suffered a loss at Lin Xian's hands. He looked away from Lin Xian and looked to the side. He saw Li Hongxiu, Morong Qingqing, and the others. He paused for a moment and looked behind him again. In the next moment he was stunned. He saw a figure standing behind Lin Xian. It was a person who looked like the god of thunder. Lei Zhen. At this moment he was completely shocked. Lei Zhen was behind Lin Xian. It was obvious that he had submitted to Lin Xian. It was too unbelievable. In his opinion, Lin Wudi and Lei Zhen must have reached an agreement, allowing them to control the 9th district together. But from the looks of it now, that wasn't the case. What exactly happened in the 9th district for Lei Zhen to lower his head to the other party? The 9 Qilins didn't understand. Suddenly, his pupil shrank because he saw that there were 5 other people outside the lightning formation. They were sword saints from the 10,000 Swords Pavilion. He was actually ranked below Lin Xian. This made him feel even more incredulous. He knew that something terrible must have happened. When Lung Rufin saw this, he let out a cold snort. Was that Lei Zhen? He actually submitted to Lin Wudi. It was really disappointing. This lightning array was too trashy. Thinking of this, Lung Wufeng stared at Lin Xian again with a provocative look in his eyes. Lin Xian naturally felt it too, but he didn't care at all. It was just a chief disciple. He didn't care about him at all. Apart from the people on the 5 great dynasties rankings that he was wary of, he didn't care about anyone else. Lung Rufeng's face darkened when he saw that Lin Xian didn't care about anything. Damn it. Was Lin Xian ignoring him? I'll let you know how powerful I am. Lung Rufeng let out a cold snort. Countless white bones swayed around him, causing the people behind him to tremble. Lin Wudi, go to hell. At this moment, a roar came from afar. The people in the nearby districts all looked over. Who was it that attacked Lin Wudi at this moment? The people in the 9th district trembled. It definitely wasn't someone from their district. Sure enough, they saw someone in the distance and quickly killed him. Was it the 8th district? Lei Zhen frowned. Was it the 9 Qilins or Lung Wufeng? In the end he found out that it wasn't them. Moreover, it wasn't someone from the 8th district, but someone from the 7th district. Everyone was horrified by this scene. The 9 Qilins and Lung Rufeng were also stunned. Did someone cross 2 districts to kill someone? The 7th district was where Yu Quan was. He was a genius on the pilgrim list. Why would he kill Lin Wudi? Could it be that he was doing it for his younger brother? To clear the obstacles for Yu Yu? Wait, could it be that Yu Yu was in the 9th district? They looked over carefully. In the end, they found that Yu Yu wasn't in the 9th district. There wasn't even a single person from the Great Desolate Manor. What was going on? They were stunned. Where was Yu Yu? Where were the Great Desolate Manor's people? Lin Wudi, you dare to kill our chief disciple? You will definitely die this time. 2 figures descended from the sky in a domineering manner and arrived above the 9th district. An ice-cold voice spread in all directions. At this moment, the people in the 8th district were all stunned. What? Was Yu Yu dead? The people in the 1st district also looked over. Because the 9th district was connected to the 1st district, they were also in an uproar. Yu Yu was actually dead. No wonder the Great Desolate Manor's people would rebel. Yu Quan was probably in so much pain that he wished he was dead. Several people sneered. In front of them stood an incomparably mysterious figure. This figure was called Chao Tiansheng. He was from the Limitless sect. He glanced over, then no longer paid attention to them. Instead, he looked at the mysterious Heaven's Fate. He only had one goal, and that was the Heaven's Mandate Stone. Other things couldn't attract his attention. In the 8th district, the 9 Qilins and Lung Rufing were also shocked. Especially Lung Ru. She simply didn't dare believe it. The other party actually dared to kill Yu Yu. Did he not know who Yu Ye's older brother was? Humph, what an idiot. He was definitely going to die. That was someone on the pilgrim list. They as chief disciples couldn't resist at all. Now even if Yu Quan didn't attack, these followers were still terrifying. Their strength surpassed theirs. After all, these people were much older than them. Some were several hundred years older, some even 1,000 years older. In the sky above the 9th district, 2 figures stood there. On their bodies, there were 20 chains of the Great Path binding their bodies. This was the result of fighting across districts. In one district, 10 more chains of the Great Tao would be added to their bodies. Crossing 2 districts naturally meant 20 more chains of the Great Tao. Not only could the Great Tao chains bind their bodies and make it difficult for them to move, but even their power and laws were suppressed. However, these 2 Dafengfu powerhouses did not care at all. They were Yu Quan's followers. They had followed him for more than 30 years. How powerful were they? Ordinary chief disciples weren't their opponents at all. At this moment, the 2 of them joined hands to kill the other party. Wasn't it easy? Lin Xian's eyes flickered. He looked up at the sky. They actually crossed districts to kill him. These people were too arrogant. On the side, the toad coldly shouted, "Get down here." He slapped out with his claws. I hate people standing on my head the most. It covered the sky and covered the earth, completely enveloping the 2. Chapter 3978. Aunt, you're courting death. How dare a toad be so arrogant in front of us? One of them stomped his foot, and the space within 1,000,000 miles below him shattered. This force caused the ground to sink, and the toad's claws were pushed back. Ouch, it hurts. The toad waved its claws and jumped around. It was red, but it was not broken at all. What a strong physique. The 2 above were surprised. They did not expect a toad to be a mutated species. However, it was not enough. Their gazes moved away from the toad and stared at Lin Xian again. Kid, kneel down obediently and follow us back. Perhaps, you will be able to suffer less. Otherwise, you'll have a taste of what it means to live a life worse than death. Are they from the Great Desolate Mansion? Lin Xian's eyes flickered. I know you're coming, but I didn't expect you to send 2 subordinates. Are you looking down on me? Hurry up and go back. Let Yu Quan come over himself. His younger brother tried to assassinate me several times. Ask him how he plans to apologize to me. As soon as he said that, the people in the 9th, 8th, and 1st districts were all stunned. Oh my God! Did they hear it wrong? Is this kid challenging a genius on the pilgrim list? That's Yu Quan. He was an expert on the pilgrim list. He was superior to all of the chief disciples because he was a little saint. Although he had suppressed his cultivation base and entered the heavenly fate star, he was still at the peak of the 5th heaven. Who would dare to provoke such a person? But now someone was courting death. The toad also cried out after hearing that. Yes, where's Yuquan? Let him kneel down and apologize to us. Hurry up and get lost. He roared, and a terrifying aura spread out in all directions. His voice was like thunder, spreading far and wide. In the 7th district, the faces of the followers turned ugly. They looked forward cautiously. Yuquan's face was cold, and his terrifying aura shrouded the 7th district. Everyone did not even dare to breathe loudly. They knew that the other party was finished. In the sky above the 9th district, the two experts shouted angrily. Are you courting death? How dare you insult our young master Yuquan? You're courting death. We can only break all your bones and let you know what fear is. One of them attacked. With a slap, a terrifying divine chain of laws rushed out from his palm and swept downward. Like a giant dragon, it wanted to bind Lin Xian. Lin Xian snorted coldly. His finger slashed out like a blade. With a loud clang, the chains of law were sent flying. At the same time, he snorted coldly. Just the two of you dare to attack me? You overestimate yourselves. He was courting death. The other person also attacked. He took out a divine spear, which was surrounded by a berserk aura. It descended from the sky. Go to hell. The two followers attacked in a frenzy. Their strength caused Lei Zhen and the 5 sword saints to be extremely frightened. It had to be said that these two people had surpassed them and reached an unimaginable height. Although they were both at the late stage of the 5th heavenly layer, the gap between them was very obvious. These two were obviously stronger. On the other hand, Lin Xian sneered. If you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Unparalleled sword law erupted from his body. At the same time, Taiji also began to revolve. He struck out with his palm like a sun, blocking the divine spear. At the same time, his other palm slashed out. A pitch-black aura appeared on it, like a giant palm of death, enveloping that person. That person roared. The long spear trembled, wanting to counterattack, but the death law on it made him scream. He felt that his vitality was flowing out a lot. He quickly retreated. Lin Xian was even faster. His right hand was golden like a god, and his left hand was pitch-black like a grindstone. Under the combined attack of the two palms, that person exploded. With a spurt, a mist of blood filled the air, and a scream sounded. At this moment, everyone was stunned. How could such a powerful follower be defeated just like that? It was as easy as cutting chives. Kid, how dare you? The other person roared angrily. Countless laws condensed in his palm again. Lightning palm. Terrifying thunder spewed out with a powerful aura, wanting to penetrate Lin Xian. Lin Xian's figure flashed and directly dodged. At the same time, he slashed out with his sword again. With a puchi, one of that person's arms was cut in half. Even the bones were exposed. How could the other party be so strong? They quickly retreated. Lin Xian sneered. Since you're here, don't leave. The sword chi was like a rainbow, carrying an extremely strong sword law. It was as if it was going to tear the sky, cutting the forest in half. In the sky, 2 corpses fell down. Such trash also dared to cross over to kill me. Lin Xian's gaze pierced through the void and looked at the 7th district. If you want to fight, then come personally. Don't you find it embarrassing to send trash over? It was incomparably silent. The surroundings were completely silent. Everyone was stunned. The people of the 9th district were terrified. At this moment, they secretly rejoiced. Fortunately, they had chosen to submit to Lin Xian, and not Lei Zhen, and the people of the 10,000 Swords Pavilion. Otherwise, they would have been dead by now. Lei Zhen once again revealed a bitter smile. The 5 sword saints were also silent. With such strength, they were no match for him at all. The people of the 8th district were facing a great enemy. The pupils of the 9 Qilins shrank. So strong. No wonder Lei Zhen and the 5 sword saints bowed their heads to him. As for Lung Ruffing, the smile on his face froze. Cold sweat flowed down his forehead. The strength of the other party was beyond his expectations. Previously, he had been disdainful, thinking that he could easily crush the other party if he wanted to. At least he could create an army of bones. But now he had no confidence at all. The other party had killed 2 powerful followers like cutting vegetables. This method terrified him. The followers of the 7th district were in an uproar. Their companions were killed so easily? It was like a dream. When they heard the other party's words, they vomited blood. The other party actually called them trash? Damn it, this kid is too arrogant. Oh, kill him. Oh, go too. Young master, let me do it. These people roared in anger. Yu Quan's face was incomparably gloomy. He roared in his heart. Damn it, these two pieces of trash are really embarrassing. To be honest, his followers being killed was simply a slap to his face. He turned his head and looked at his followers. Those followers all stopped roaring and waited quietly. In the end, he looked at a person beside him. Man Wu, you go. Yes, young master. A tall man beside him said respectfully. Then, an incomparable light burst out from his eyes. Buzz. He rushed toward the 9th district. When he passed through the 8th district, 10 more chains of the Great Path appeared on his body. However, his speed did not decrease. Instead, it increased. Soon he arrived at the 9th district. Chapter 3979. 20 more chains appeared on his body, but it didn't seem to affect him at all. Man Wu was one of Yu Quan's most capable generals. He's an expert from the barbarian race with a strong physique and bloodline. You have to be careful. Li Hongxiu reminded him softly. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. The barbarian race? He knew that they were one of the 10,000 ancient races. Like the war race, they were born to fight. They were very strong. The barbarian race was like a primitive people who cultivated the most primitive divine abilities. Very well, let me see what's so special about these primitive tribes. Lin Xian looked at him and said loudly, I won't bully you. I will not bully you. You have 20 chains of the Great Tao. I will let you have 3 moves. You can attack first. Everyone's eyelids twitched. Only Lin Wudi dared to be so confident in front of Man Wu. The followers in the 7th region gritted their teeth in anger. This guy was still so arrogant even when he was about to die. Just wait, he'll definitely die. That was for sure. Man Wu was very strong. How could he block him? Let me have 3 moves? I'm afraid you'll die after 1 move. Man Wu roared. A monstrous blood-colored law appeared, and his aura was unparalleled. It was like a burning furnace. His qi and blood were simply too powerful. This was the law of blood, and at this moment, he had already used it. His entire body suddenly rumbled, and his fist was incomparably powerful. His fist charged over. It filled the entire space. Retreat. The people in the 9 regions frantically retreated. Even Morong Qingcheng and the others retreated. Only Lin Xian was left on the field. Lin Xian didn't block. Instead, he retreated to the side. He said he would let his opponent have 3 moves. He wasn't joking. First move. Lin Xian dodged and said calmly. Man Wu was furious. Was Lin Xian really going to let him have 3 moves? Lin Xian was underestimating him. Die. His second move was to use his ultimate skill. He wanted to finish off his opponent. Xiao Chen's fist turned into a palm with terrifying scarlet saber marks covering it. It was like a scarlet mountain was pushing over. Both the sky and the ground were packed, and there was nowhere to hide. However, Lin Xian still managed to dodge. He appeared in another location, still standing with his hands clasped behind his back, his clothes spotless. The second move. Damn it. Man Wu's expression turned ugly. If he really let his opponent give him a handicap of 3 moves, even if he won, he would lose face. Therefore, for the third card he had to kill his opponent. The wrath of the god of berserkers. With a roar, he retracted his palm and let out a loud shout. The sound waves turned into a torrent, causing the heavens to collapse and the earth to crack. Not good. The 9th region's people's expressions changed greatly. Quite a few of their bodies were blasted apart, blood flowing from their 7 apertures. Quickly defend. They all unleashed their laws to defend themselves. But he couldn't block it at all. Murong Qingcheng, Li Hongxiu, and the others joined forces and unleashed their terrifying laws to block the terrifying sound waves. The people behind him heaved a sigh of relief. They were deeply grateful. It seemed that submitting to the other party was the right choice. At least at the critical moment, they could save their lives. They didn't know how Lin Wudi would deal with it. The 7th region's people snorted coldly. The barbarian god's roar should be enough to kill him. Lin Xian felt the terrifying impact of the sound waves. He was also stunned. How terrifying. It was indeed a kind of ultimate technique. He couldn't help but want to break it. However, they had agreed on 3 moves. He used the void escape technique to dodge the attack. However, the attack range was too wide, and he couldn't completely leave the 9th region. He could only hide at the edge. He relied on his divine body to block the remaining attacks. The sound waves hit his body, producing a sonorous sound. It completely drowned the void. He hit it. That's great. The 7th region's followers cheered. So what if that kid is strong? He will definitely die after being hit by the barbarian god's roar. Man Wu also revealed a smile. No way is Lin Wudi going to lose? The 9th region's people were terrified. The 8th region's people were also shocked. Leng Ruffing sneered coldly. So that was all he had. He deserved to die. Just as he finished speaking, his smile froze. He saw a figure walk out from the shattered void. His body was covered in a golden light, like a god of war. He was unharmed? How was that possible? Everyone was stunned. Whether it was the surrounding saints or the followers, they were all dumbfounded. Man Wu's expression became extremely ugly. This was the first person to be unharmed after being hit by his ultimate technique. Although the other party wasn't hit completely and was only at the edge, the power was still unparalleled. However, the other party wasn't injured at all. This shocked him. Lin Xian walked out from the ruins and said coldly, 3 moves have passed. It's time for me to make a move. Boom. He circulated his power and punched out. The laws of the sun exploded, and the 9 Yang divine fire jumped. He used his divine body and laws to the extreme. The dragon sword soul in his body also roared. Lin Xian didn't hold back. Not good. Man Wu's pupils constricted. He naturally felt the terror of this punch, but he didn't want to retreat. He wouldn't do it even if he was beaten to death. He had already lost face by not killing the other party in the previous 3 moves. If he retreated now, he would definitely lose face. Even if he won, he would lose face. So he roared, Barbarian God Fist. He didn't believe that he would lose to the other party in terms of strength. Even with the 20 chains on his body, he was confident that he would win. The 2 fists collided, and the sky collapsed. A terrifying storm, and the light of laws drowned everything. No one could see clearly. They waited nervously. However, at this moment, Chao Tiansheng, who had been standing with his hands behind his back in the 1st region, frowned and turned his head with a hint of surprise. He was wearing a ferocious-looking mask, but his eyes kept flickering. Interesting, he whispered to himself. Then he turned his head again. In the 7th region, Yu Ming had been staring intently. Suddenly, his pupils constricted. Damn it, this is impossible. He almost roared out. The rest of the people were also stunned. What did the other party see? Could it be that something happened to Man Wu? They waited anxiously. When the laws dissipated, they finally saw what was in front of them. Lin Xian was still shining. He retracted his fist. Opposite him, the once powerful Man Wu was lying on the ground. Half of his body was a bloody mess, and one of his arms was long gone. Defeated. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. It seemed that not only was Man Wu defeated, but half of his body had also been blown up. How terrifying was Lin Xian's punch. Man Wu actually lost, and he lost in terms of strength. The followers in the 7th region were terrified. Sorry, something happened in the morning, so the update was late. Chapter 3980. It couldn't be like that. The truth couldn't be like that. It had to be the suppression of the Dao chains. Yes, Man Wu had 20 Dao chains on him. That was the reason for his defeat. If it weren't for the chains, how could that brat beat Man Wu? Man Wu fell into a pool of blood. His mind was blank. That punch just now made him feel despair. It was as if the one who had attacked him was his young master, Yu Ming. At that moment, he felt like he was facing the sacred dynasty rankings. You're not my match. Scram. Lin Xian said coldly. He had taken the 2 heavenly Dao golden lotuses from Man Wu. Together with the 2 who had died, he had a total of 4. Now he had 8 heavenly Dao golden lotuses. Lin Xian's cold voice made Man Wu regain his senses. He roared at the sky. His broken body quickly reformed. I haven't lost yet. I still have the power to fight. Man Wu roared coldly. It's useless. You'll just die if you keep fighting. Let right fist attack. I don't care about you. Damn it. Man Wu attacked again, punching out with both his fists. However, Lin Xian coldly snorted as killing intent appeared in his eyes. He used his law to form a sword light and cut Man Wu in half. This attack was even colder than before. Everyone felt their scalps go numb. Man Wu's confidence collapsed. He had lost again, and it was an even more thorough defeat. This time, the sword chi was even more terrifying than the fist from before. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Lin Xian roared coldly. Man Wu, come back. Don't embarrass yourself there. Yu Quan finally couldn't take it anymore. Man Wu walked back unwillingly. Brat, if you didn't have the Dao chains, you wouldn't have been able to defeat me. Once we leave planet Tianming, I'll teach you a lesson. With that, he rose into the air, wanting to leave the 9th region. Lin Xian's killing intent exploded when he heard this. I hate it when people threaten me. So go die. As soon as he finished speaking, a terrifying sword chi covered the sky and enveloped barbarian martial arts. Not far away, those people roared crazily. Right fist also roared. How dare you? He wanted to attack, but it was too late. The sword chi cut Man Wu's body into 8 pieces. He fell to the ground with his eyes wide open. He was actually killed by the other party in an instant. Boom. At that instant, a giant palm slapped across the air. Lin Xian's figure flashed and he dodged. Then he snorted coldly. You can't hold it in anymore? You want to attack? Come, I'll fulfill your wish. Naturally, it was his right fist that had struck out just now. Seeing that his right fist had missed, he didn't attack again. Instead, his voice was cold. Ant, you are not worthy of me making a move. Even though the other party had killed 3 of his generals in an instant, he still did not place the other party in his eyes. His target was only the people on the pilgrim roll. Unworthy? Lin Xian laughed when he heard that. I think you don't dare. He snorted coldly. Since you don't dare to make a move against me, then behave yourself in front of me in the future. Don't think that you're so great. In front of me, even if you're a dragon, you still have to coil up. Lin Xian's words were incomparably domineering. The surrounding people were terrified, and Yu Quan's expression was cold. However, in the end he did not attack. Kid, what do you plan to do next? The dark red divine dragon asked. Lin Xian looked into the distance. The Destiny Stone was just ahead, right? At that time he would be able to explore the Destiny Stone. But in the next few days, I have something to do. What is it? The toad was also puzzled. Lin Xian smiled. Naturally, it was to collect the heavenly Dao flowers. I want to see where my limit is. Speaking of this, a cold light burst out from his eyes. Last time, his senior brother had finally condensed 6 heavenly Dao golden lotuses. Now that he had 8, it was reasonable to say that he had surpassed Fu Hongya. However, Lin Xian felt that it was not so simple. He would definitely need to consume the heavenly Dao golden lotuses in the future. So now he had to collect as many as possible. Is he still going to collect the heavenly Dao flowers? The toad was shocked, and Li Hongxiu frowned. But there weren't many people who had the heavenly Dao golden lotuses anymore. Could it be that he was going to attack the other regions? The others gasped after hearing this. Lin Wudi, are you going to cross realms to fight? That's right, that's what I'm planning to do. Lin Xian really didn't care about ordinary saints. His goal was at least to become the chief disciple, an existence like that. So he was going to cross realms to fight. His gaze shifted to the 8 zones beside him. The saints of the 8th region were facing a great enemy. What is this guy trying to do? Even 9 Heads was on high alert when he got up. Lin Xian didn't attack the 9 Qilins. Instead, he looked at Lung Rufin. This guy dared to provoke him with his eyes. If there was a chance, the other party would definitely assassinate him. He might as well get rid of this scourge now. Lung Rufin's face became incomparably cold. Damn brat. What are you trying to do? Do you dare to attack me? He was really angry. Was the other party looking down on him? How dare he cross realms to kill me? If you dare to come over, I can guarantee that you will die here. Lung Rufin roared. The ground around him flipped open, and many white bones appeared. They connected together, forming an army of white bones. It was abnormally terrifying. Lin Xian sneered. It's you. He strode forward. Soon he crossed the region and arrived above the 8th region. There were 10 more chains of the Great Tao on his body. Feeling the suppression of the Great Tao chains, Lin Xian was also surprised. His power and laws were suppressed. It was indeed magical. Lin Xian was surprised, but his eyes burst with light, and his body bloomed. So what if he was suppressed by the Great Tao? These 10 chains of the Great Tao couldn't do anything to him. You're courting death. Seeing that the other party really came, Lung Rufen was also angry. He waved his hand, and the surrounding white bones charged over. To be honest, he didn't think that his strength was inferior to the other party. Moreover, the other party was now suppressed. Kid, do you think you're very powerful after killing those followers? It's just that those followers were suppressed by the Great Tao. Now you're also suppressed by the Great Tao. Let's see how I kill you. The white bones in this place were all extraordinary. Those who could come here and die were all saints. At this moment, these white bones were controlled, and their power was really terrifying. It made the scalps of the surrounding saints tingle. They retreated frantically, and the people in the other regions also came back one after another. Lin Wudi was powerful, but would he be able to fight back after crossing the border? The suppression of the Great Tao was no joke. Buzz. Flames jumped on Lin Xian's body. The Sun Law condensed, forming the Great Sun Sword, cooperating with the sword finger technique. The sword slashed forward. Boom, boom, boom. The dozen or so white bones in front of him instantly shattered, and the bones scattered all over the ground. So powerful. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.